The Earth has a core which produces the electromagnetic field around the Earth, which protects it from the sun and all this stuff. Well, that's showing you that our core, which is your corazon, your heart, that's pumping and producing your electromagnetic field around you the same way. People are abusing alcohol. They drink to escape and they never solve problems. I found a path out of the misery and suffering, and I want to share it with others.
What's up, everybody? Esoteric Eddie here. Namaste. Today's guest is truly a magnificent guy. You all probably know him. You've seen him all across social media, spreading that truth, that real deep truth. And he's got an intense story, a crazy story about how he got into all of this stuff, what he's doing, what he's been going through, how he's been robbed by people out there stealing his work, and how we're going to get all that back and bring it right back to you people. It's an amazing story, amazing information. Please, everybody, welcome the homie, Divine Being Divine.
What's up, everyone? Thank you for having me, brother.
Absolutely. Absolutely, man. Yeah, so we got a lot to get into today. Just so much. I mean, I just met you today.
That's right.
But I've known about you for probably a couple years. And more specifically, I know you because you've been basically married to my friend, my good friend Maga, who's back here, also known as Missy. I interviewed her on this channel. Check it out in the link below. She's got a very crazy and wild story as well. But yeah, you've been dating her for a couple years now, to my understanding. And she's been telling me, yo, you gotta meet my boyfriend. You gotta interview. And I was like, she was telling me who you were, and I was like, wait, is this the same TikTok dude that I know? Like what? And then later on, I put two and two together, and then yeah, it was you. And I was pretty impressed. I was like, oh wow, that's cool, you know, to have the opportunity to meet you and do this. But
of course,
yeah, we're gonna get into a lot, man. I want to get into your work, your story, the triumphs and the tribulations you've been going through. But before we do that, just please tell the people who don't really know you or don't know a lot about you, you know, who you are in your own words and what it is that you do.
I'm Divine Being Divine. Real name's Julio Castro. And I want to let people know that they are all divine beings, no matter what race, color, ethnicity, culture, background you come from. We all have the opportunity to be divine. I learned that from The Pursuit of Happiness with Will Smith. Will Smith made it clear. He's like, it says we need to pursue happiness because it's not given. So it's a pursuit, it's a journey, and that's the hero's journey that I talk about. As above, so below, as within, so without. Everything is a hero's journey, from your atoms to the cycles of Earth to the cycles that we go through throughout our lifetimes. It's an infinite cycle that we are not meant to suffer alone, but suffering comes with this journey. And that's what I've learned, is that together, like fascia, a bunch of sticks together, we're unbreakable. But when we're singled out, which is what is happening today, is there's so much division, not just between the left hemisphere and right hemisphere of the Earth, but between not just races, but between men and women, and also between the younger generations and the older generations. There's just such a big gap that I want to fix. I want to fill in the pieces that brings us back together, because we've been broken and separated and divided. I don't believe in borders and different continents. It's just one giant continent. Let's go back to Pangea, metaphorically, Atlantis, yeah. Tartaria.
Yeah, heck yeah, man. So Julio Castro, Divine Being Divine. And again, if you guys haven't seen him, which I doubt you have, because the man is viral, go check out his work. Just super next level stuff, like truly impressive. You rarely see people with like your level of understanding on this stuff, like truthfully. That's right. And
shout out Santos.
Yeah, shout out Santos. I want to get into Santos and his influence on your work. But let's take it back to before Divine Being Divine, before the virality, before the face tattoos, before everything in this current moment. So, and before we do that, just so people understand, so you are a content creator across various social media platforms. You're an author. You're also a music artist. Are there any other things that you're doing in those regards?
So, yeah, I make music as well, and I've been making music before I went viral on TikTok. I've been making music since I was 13, SoundCloud, and I have music on there still. Actually, I used to be known as Messer1, and I used to have a rap group where I rapped at a 3-story pizza place in Bakersfield before I moved to Fresno in 2012 when I was 15. I lived with some friends because I wasn't ready to move to Fresno. I wanted to stay in Bakersfield where I was born. And my parents wanted to leave Bakersfield because when you grow up somewhere, it's just, you kind of want to leave the bad of where you came from, but you want to take the good of where you came from. So that's what my parents did. My grandparents left Mexico to come to America, and my parents left Bakersfield to go to Fresno. It's like we kept going up. And now I'm back in San Diego next to Mexico, like not that far away. It's dope, it's awesome. But the point is that when I just always was against the system, not against it, but I never agreed with the system, like how cannabis was illegal for a long time and now it's less illegal in certain states and certain places, and now they sell it at the stores. And it's a big deal to me because I now know the importance of Mother Nature, and it says in the Bible that God gave us the herbs for the healing of the nations, that the herbs are here for us. So there's nothing that we need that's not here on earth as our home. Everything we need is here. Mother Earth, even if I always say if you lose your mother or father or your parents, you always have your parents spiritually, but also Mother Earth and Father Sky is always there. You have the sun in the sky that heals you when you look at it, and the Mother Earth when you put your feet on the grass. Heels are meant to heal. Palms are the balm or the healing, like lip balm is lip healing ointment. So your palms are the balm or the healing tools that you can use. Stare at the sun, open your palms, feet on the grass, use your heels to heal, soles to soil, and palms for balm. So it's like it's a lighter color for a reason. Why is your palms lighter colored? Why is there less melanin on your palms? Because it gives us a less of a filter for the sun to go through so that we can get direct healing from the sun. That's what it's meant for. It's healing. It should be called your heel, but that's where it's as above, so below. You have two
heels.
Two heels.
What the heck?
So basically,
my feet are on my hands,
or your palms are on your feet. Either way. Yeah. And so.
Okay, well, let's pause there because we're going to get into a lot of that. But I truly want to dive into what made you are today before we get into all this. So you grew up in Fresno.
Bakersfield,
and then Fresno.
Yeah.
So before all of this stuff, like who were you as a kid? Like, were you always into this spiritual stuff? Like, where does that first start for you?
So basically, I was not always spiritual. To me, spirituality is spirit. Spirio comes from the word breath, and I always compare it to religio and spirio because religio is bind and spirio means breath, and religion is believing in an outside savior, Muhammad, Buddha, Jesus, someone to save you. Not necessarily Buddha. Buddha saved himself and taught you how you can save yourself. And so he's like hey, look, I saved myself. You can do it too. He's a light. He's a hope, just like Jesus is. So
a modern day Tony Robbins.
So
old day, I would say.
So I wasn't spiritual in a sense where I didn't really have awareness of what I was putting in my body or what I was around, but I knew what I was around. I just didn't know it was bad. I thought it was the way things are, but I didn't like it. I said, why are things this way? And then when I found out of spirituality, it was amazing because I was like, wow, there's a way out.
What was one of the first things that like shook you out of like your normalcy? Like, for example, for me, it goes, this path that I've been on literally my whole life. One of the first things, and I've told the story many times, but just to give you an example, like one of the first things that woke me up out of my body and made me realize like, oh, I'm here, was my parents took me to the daycare at the Catholic church we were going to. And I was like 5 years old around this time, maybe even younger. But the moment I walked in, I looked up and I saw this portrait of Jesus, which to me looked huge because I was little. And it's this huge, towering portrait of Jesus. And I was just like, who is that? Like, why is this guy everywhere? Like, what is this? And that question and that curiosity led me down this path that I've been on. So like, what was that first memory for you of like, whoa, like something else is happening here?
So, well, it kind of goes back to just when I was younger, I saw what drugs and alcohol did to my family because it was everywhere. I thought it was like, you get older, you're either going to be abusing drugs or abusing your partner because you're drunk all the time, things like that. And I witnessed that and I wasn't okay with it. So it's just like, basically, I smoke cannabis to heal, and it's just a major part of my spirituality because spirio means breath, and it's like, it's the breath, and I'm able to breathe and relax, and it calms me. And Santo said you can abuse things or use things, and I use cannabis. Are abusing alcohol, food, because they eat for just the taste and not for the healing. They drink to escape, and they never solve problems. But I just want to, I
I wanted to let my son know that the book I wrote wasn't a book. It was my journey that I wanted to share with my son, that this is what led me to my journey. And it also has the blueprint of the journey I want to complete eventually. So all I'm saying is that I found a path out of the misery and suffering, and I want to share it with others. But I'm not even really living that path that I'm shedding light on. Like, hey, there's a way you can live and eat better, but I'm not even eating better myself, so it's hard for me. But that's why I needed this. I'm so grateful for this time to interview thing, because I want people to know that that there's a way, and I found a way, and I want to share that with people. So this is what I've been missing, is having my own platform where I can do that. I've been working with Zach, and I know we're going to get into that. But the point is that I'm grateful that he discovered me on TikTok. I didn't find him, he found me. And I'm grateful for that. He said, yo, I heard about your book, and you're selling it for free, but I want to help you out. That book's worth money, you know, and I have a website. Let's work together. And I said, beautiful, let's do it. So we worked together for a couple years, and we separated, but I never really still had, even when we were working together, he had a huge platform, and I was always banned because I'm more of he follows the guidelines. He does it how you're supposed to do it. The mainstream way. I was like, I don't care if I get banned or anything. I did care, but I was like, I'm going to give you the raw truth, because there's so much. I don't have time to sugarcoat anything, because I need people to understand there's so much that goes with it. It's very simple, honestly. I can give you the pieces, but I have the puzzle.
We'll get into that. Yeah, it's an amazing book.
I have my bad.
No, it's all right, man. I mean, thank you for sharing that, and you know, thank you for getting vulnerable. You know, that's a tough thing to do. You know, and I commend you for the work that you do and all that you've been through in this life. Truthfully.
Thank you, brother.
Truthfully. So.
Real recognized real.
Yeah, man. And it was just amazing to hear you say that what woke you up as a young person was seeing the toxicity of drugs and alcohol and abusive relationships. I definitely grew up in similar situations and am right now 6 months sober, because I was actually one of those people, you know, abusing the drugs and alcohol and being abusive in relationships. But it's like hurt people, you know, like I saw my dad cheating on my mom and doing all this crazy stuff and whatever, and everybody around me was just like numbed out. Everybody was numbed out, and that's what I learned to do, was numb out, you know. So I commend you for that, for sure. All right, so you go through that as a kid. You see this, you're like, I don't want to do that. And did you ever get into drinking or anything like that, or did you just?
Oh heck yeah! In high school, all high school, I drank, and it was mostly to fit in. I never enjoyed it. I would throw up and puke while everyone's dancing, and I'm like, how do you guys stay up? How do you not feel sick to your stomach? And so I just loved to hang out with people and have fun, but there's better ways to have fun, is what I'm finding out. So I can't wait to do those things and show people that, like I want to be surfing, and I want to be in the mountains just exploring. I want to check out each vortex in each state in America, because every state has a vortex. Yeah. Like in Ohio, they have the Serpent Mound, and there's an Oregon vortex where all the trees are getting sucked into like this point, and it's like there must be something under the rocks, or this point is so magnetic that all the trees are leaning towards it.
Where is that?
It's called the Oregon vortex. I'm not sure exactly where, but there's an unsolved mystery that I want to solve with Maga. And there's two pillars, and you put your backs towards them, and you can see that, you know, I'm taller on this side, she's shorter, but when we switch, we now become the same size. And it's like, is it an illusion? What's going on? And I think I know that light is not a particle, and I think these vortexes prove it, that light is a wave of the ether, that we're surrounded by this, everything is just energy and frequency, but you can't see the medium. And Santos says it's equivalent to a fish in the ocean. It doesn't notice that it's in the ocean. The water, it doesn't really notice it. It just sees the other fish. Between me and you, there's nothing. There's just like, but it's water. It's H2O.
Yeah, I've heard that analogy. It's pretty wild to think about.
Yeah, and this air is not just one thing. It's oxygen, nitrogen, hydrogen, and nitrogen, pretty much. You can't see them, but it's there. So I really love this quote by Nikola Tesla, where he says, once we start to study the things that are invisible, we will excel in 10 years more than all the previous centuries. And I was like, wow, just 10 years of studying magnetism, which is when I was little, I played with magnets, and that's the most people just take it for granted, like, oh, it's just two magnets. It's like, no, that is what everything is, because Ken Willer, shout out Ken Willer, he said if you break a magnet into its atoms, each atom is a tiny magnet.
Oh,
so each magnet is a giant atom. And I said, wow, so each human is a giant atom, because you're made up of those tiny things.
Yeah.
That's why the first man's name was Adam, because all is atum, all is Adam, like I have right here.
Oh, wow. Atum. That's the Egyptian creator, right?
Thank you, Santos. Atum, yes, the self-created one, and also represents the setting sun. Santos says the sun goes in its tomb. Where's west? I'm new to San Diego.
West on this way, I think it's going that way, somewhere that way.
That's Ra, when the sun is at its most radiant. Ra, the sun, that's Set, and this is Horus, but also they say this is Horus, it's Ra-Haru, then Ra, then Atum, because the sun goes in its tomb. That's why in Egypt, on the west side of the Nile, that's where all the pyramids are. It's on the west side, because when the Egyptians said when you're resting or dying, you're westing, because the sun dies when it hits the west. Resting is westing. The sun is born in the east and it dies in the west.
Okay.
So they call it westing when you're dying. And that's why all the tombs are on the west side of the Nile. Thank you, Santos. So
it's just kind of like almost like an autistic kid saying resting.
Yeah.
We're westing.
Yeah. Then we call it, yeah. So it's like, or like when Asians, I have a cousin whose mother's Korean, and he can't say his R's or L's. And a lot of, it's kind of hard for that, for, what is it, the Asians, for that,
they can't say
that group of people.
The R
so when he said green goblin, he said Gween Goblin. He couldn't say the R's or L's. Like Gween Goblin. Yeah.
All right. So, God bless their souls.
Yeah. So it's funny. So yeah, Santos said L and R are interchangeable, and it's funny because L and R both become W when you have that. It's something about the shape of the mouth or something where you can't say L and R. It's the L becomes what and the R becomes what. Gween Goblin. So Santos, when he said L and R are interchangeable, that's why I called my book the Hearth book, because it's also the health book. R is L. And I give an example. Gerardo becomes Geraldo.
That's my dad's name.
Gerardo is Geraldo.
That's weird. That's my dad's name.
So the R becomes L right there. So I love the interchangeability of letters and how it crosses different cultures. And that's, to me, is a way to unify people through the language and through the stories. And that's my main.
Interesting. There was something you said. So, okay, we're going to get into the book. All right, so sorry, it's kind of weird. So you're growing up over there, you're seeing that, and then, so when did the music come first, or was it like the studying?
So in Bakersfield, the reason I didn't want to go to Fresno when my parents moved there, they moved me there, but then I cried so much every night. They said, fine, go live use your grandma's address. So God bless my grandma.
Why were you crying every night?
Because I missed my friends in my rap group. I thought we were going to be rappers, and we vibed together, and we just smoked weed all day, but we weren't harming people. Yeah. We were talking about just getting high and girls and a little bit of drugs. Even though I rapped about it, I didn't really enjoy doing it. I was like, this is what's going to blow us up, and we all had the plan to basically help our mothers out, because they would let us. They put up with it, so we're like, no, we're doing this for our parents. We're going to pay off their house. Yeah. And then have fun.
The classic hip hop dream. Gonna buy my mom a house.
Yeah, exactly. So
how old are you now?
I'm 28 now.
28. Okay. So what time was this when you were like?
This must have been, I guess, 13 years ago, maybe 15 years ago when I first started. I was 13.
Okay.
When I first started really writing lyrics and putting them online. I probably used to listen to Lil Wayne since I was like 8 or 9. I had the iPod Shuffle, the little tiny, can't even see the screen. But and Eminem and Lil Wayne were my favorite rappers ever, and Tupac and Biggie and Andre Nicotina, the Bay Area, a lot of West Coast rap. And so basically, I rapped about bad things that I don't agree with now, and now I changed it to where I still rap the same way, but just my lyrics, I don't even try to cuss anymore. I hardly cuss. And it's all about raising your vibration, your frequency, and just becoming more aware, and to escape the matrix, which to me is the confusion and ignorance. I want to help people escape and be liberated from confusion and ignorance, and also fear, because I'm a huge flat earther. I'm one of the biggest ones. Thank you, Santos. I'm right under him. I think he's the best flat earther. He's called the president of the flat earthers, and I'm the vice president. I love it. So the point is that, what was my point?
You were talking about your rap and how you don't cuss, and a flat earth. Well, yeah, I know. We'll get back into it. I know I forgot my point from earlier too, but because there's so much to say. There's so much to be said right now.
Had to do with my music.
Music, yeah. Yeah. So you were 13.
Also, I rap about the flat Earth as one of the topics I rap about. It's spirituality,
Now,
flat Earth,
yeah.
and the point of the flat Earth. I want to liberate people from fear, and the globe, it brings a lot of fear. So that's why people say, "Oh, you think why would Earth not be a ball if everything else is a ball?" I'm like, look closely to Saturn, which is tattooed on my forehead. There's these flat rings.
Yeah.
They say everything in space collapses to a ball, but all the asteroids are nugget shaped. They're not perfect spheres like they say the Earth is a perfect sphere, the moon is a perfect sphere, the sun is a perfect sphere.
Yeah.
Why are the asteroids not perfect spheres? And why does Saturn have flat rings on the outside? So and the Milky Way is a giant disk. So I'm basically just surfacing common sense. I'm not even making a claim. I'm like, Saturn has flat rings. You said nothing in space is, everything in space is, the center of everything will suck it in to make a perfect sphere in space.
Yeah.
But you have all these flat objects. Flying saucers. People believe in aliens, but they believe in the globe, but you believe flying saucers are flying pancakes.
Yeah.
But Earth can be a flying disc, like a giant UFO. We could live on a giant UFO.
You ever think about that word, flying saucers? It's like
I know, right?
A saucer. What if, like, instead of a saucer, the first thing was like, it kind of looked like a sombrero.
Exactly.
Flying sombrero. Like, what if that was the term instead?
And so where the fear comes is, I used to be scared because I was a huge science geek. I loved math and science, and I always got
Were
straight
you a
A's.
good kid in school? Like, did you get
Until high
straight
school,
A's and everything?
until high school, because
Really?
then I realized that they weren't grading you on how good you are. They grade you on, can you turn it in on time? I failed art and Spanish, but I understand Spanish, but they want you to say coche, which is how you say it in Mexico.
Yeah.
And in America, we say carro, which is just adding an O to car. Carro. But it's coche.
Carro.
They don't say carro, they say coche. So I failed Spanish because I'm like, no, this is what I was taught.
Yeah.
I'm a hardcore Mexican. Like, my whole family, they don't even speak English, like my grandma and grandpa.
Yeah.
And basically, so like that's real world stuff. Like, I don't need to learn coche if every day outside we don't say that. They're gonna look at me like, what is coche?
Yeah. What coche? What the hell?
So I failed Spanish and I failed art because I would fill in half the page with beautiful art when everybody else just rushed it. And as long as you cover the whole page, you get an A. I filled it halfway, but it had Mona Lisa basically halfway, and I got an F. I'm like, how? You can't rush perfection pretty much, or beauty.
Yeah. Are you good at illustrating?
Heck yeah, my whole book is handwritten and hand-drawn.
I haven't had a chance to check out the whole thing.
I tattooed my dad's whole arm, even though tattoo is tracing. I have a really steady hand, and I love to draw.
Way.
He was in the Navy, so he had a boat, a wooden boat, even though he's in the Navy ships, which are steel. He had the olden Spanish galleons with an octopus pulling it down, and a lighthouse, and a ship's wheel. And a sparrow, like a bird. Like, it was an honor to do that to my dad, because he wanted to cover up his younger stuff that was more like me. It was more like just gang affiliated and stuff, and he wanted to put stuff that represented him now,
Yeah.
It makes me a little emotional.
You're not saying that you're a gang affiliate. But
No, but I covered up some tattoos that were like from the Super Mario video game. It was Boo the ghost, and it was Bullet Bill, that bullet.
Okay, yeah.
And thinking about it, I could have left them on because they have esoteric meaning. This would have been spirit, the ghost, and the bullet would have been matter.
Yeah,
like
physical.
Yeah, so
that's funny, man.
Black and white, spirit and matter.
I grew up on Super Mario, and I always said, and that game always felt kind of occultic, especially Super Mario Nintendo 64, the 64 one. That one just felt super occultic. All the stars on the ground and the portals you're going through and everything.
Right.
Like, it's fucking weird.
Oh yeah, we talked about that the other day. He eats a mushroom. The mushroom makes him grow.
Yeah.
And mushrooms really expand your consciousness, and that's how I believe you can cure a paralyzed, or you can mushrooms, what they do is they create new neural pathways.
Yeah.
And so that's why your senses are expounded upon. But I heard this somewhere that you can help a paralyzed man who you can help him regain his body functions. You can reverse paralysis. There you go.
No way.
Yeah, with mushrooms. So these are things that I want to, like, that's beautiful to me. If people can take a plant that doesn't harm them and it helps them, that's why I'm so in love with Mother Earth, Mother Nature, and that's one of my things is #merge with nature, or #nature not nano, or 5D not 5G. I want to start. Alison McDowell put me on those, but I want everyone to know these hashtags, because it's something I want to bring today is the conscious takeover, which is getting back to nature, getting back to natural healing, and we're in this center right now, this beautiful building, and they have a sound room with a red light, and I was talking about how when the sun sets, it's red, and it's the best time to stare at it because you can get a tan and it'll burn your eyes in the middle of the day.
Yeah.
You go to a tanning salon, it's under blue light, not red light, because blue is what gives you a tan and it penetrates your cells and it burns you, cooks you.
Wow.
So the red light is the most, people think red is associated with the devil, but it's lower frequency, and Mother Earth
is not high frequency. That's very, it's chaotic. Mother Earth is peaceful, and natural, Santos said, is neutral. That's why it's green. It's not red or blue. It's not positive or negative. It's neutral, which is natural.
Grounds.
Yeah.
Yeah. Interesting. Yeah, because even in electricity, and I know this as a tradesman, the green wire is always the neutral one.
Wow.
Yeah. Yeah, you didn't know that?
No.
Oh, wow. Yeah, like in all your sockets, there's 3 holes because one of them's hot or, positive, negative, and the third one's the green one, which is grounding.
Okay.
Yeah.
So yeah, that's heaven above, head is heaven, heel is hell. When I sit down, my heels are basically at the same level as my base of my spine, root chakra. Heel is hell, head is heaven, thank you, Santos, and earth spells heart. So this is below your heart or below the earth would be your heel, your hell, and above your heart or above the earth would be your head or heaven. Thank you, Santos. That's the best, that's the most amazing truth right there. And now you can see the earth is a living being. And my favorite thing to say is that it's not flat earth, it's living earth, it's conscious earth. We're not just flat earth, there's flying pancake in space, thank you, Ken Willer. It's a living conscious being. And so the most important thing is that we're all, this isn't just words I'm spitting out, oh, he thinks he's some kind of guru. I know for a fact that we're all kings and queens, and I can prove it to you. When people donate their blood plasma, they get really pale. A lot of people are who need money, they'll go to the blood plasma donation center, they donate their blood. You can get $600 in a month donating your blood 6 times. But the point is that your blood rejuvenates itself. You'll be pale, but then you'll get it back, and then they tell you that, oh, it'll come back, don't worry, you can do it, you can donate more. And so your body, your blood comes out of the bone marrow, the center of your bones. That's why dogs chew on them, because they're getting the blood and all this minerals from the center of your bones. So when we dig into the crust of the earth and we're pulling out this oil, which we call fossil fuel, that we're gonna run out someday, we can suck the earth dry and it'll rejuvenate in a few years. You just have to let it. It rejuvenates because our bodies do that, and the earth does that because we are tiny versions of the earth. The earth has a core which produces the electromagnetic field around the earth, which protects it from the sun and all this stuff. Well, that's showing you that our core, which is your corazon, your heart, that's pumping and producing your electromagnetic field around you the same way. So when you sit on the earth, it's not just, oh, I'm by a tree and I'm meditating. It's no, you're a magnet, the earth is a magnet, you become one magnet. And now your energy is expounded. You don't have a little field around your body. Now the whole field that you think is around the earth is also, that's your field now. That's yours. You're plugging in, you're
They've
connecting,
conjoined.
you're tapped in.
And amplified.
Super immensely. So that's how people get downloads, because everybody, if you connect to the earth and I connect to the earth, we're both connected to the same thing, and that's how we share dreams. That's called the 100th. It's called the 100th monkey effect, where when the 100th monkey started to wash the sand off the fruit, monkeys across other islands started to do it because those 100 people are plugged in, and now they made so much of a ripple that others felt it.
So you're talking about that, like if one monkey does something new, if enough monkeys do that new thing, it gets put into the ether, collective consciousness, and
which is in here, not out there. It's in here, and then that's why we say it goes out there. But no, they just felt it from.
So it goes in here and then like portalizes.
Yeah, like right away, exactly.
Interesting.
And so there's something else called the Maharishi effect, which is the human version of the 100th monkey effect. The Maharishi effect is when enough people meditate, that whole city will have reduced crime rate, no murders, maybe just less, like way less.
Reduced, yeah.
So if the world did it, no murders. Like if enough.
That should be like mandatory, like every Sunday we go to church. Maybe every Sunday we should all sit down and meditate, or maybe Monday could be meditation Monday.
and create those ripples slowly at a time.
It's interesting you say that, because that's literally how Buddha got his enlightenment, right? The story goes that he sat down underneath a tree and got his download, right? So that's almost like a hidden message right there in itself. It's like, go sit by a tree, chill out, get a download. Who was like the first person? Did you find this knowledge first through books, or was it first through the internet? Where did you first find this? And I'll give you a quick example. For me, one of the very first things that introduced me to this, apart from my life experiences, was hip hop. At first, Immortal Technique, Jedi Mind Tricks, nonfiction, all that. And then that led me to want to research on the internet. And then the internet led me to the books, and then it was all a cycle from there. So like, what form or format did you come across first with all of this stuff?
I was always fascinated with movies more than music. Music, it didn't really wake me up. When Tupac said, "Dear Mama, we came from a woman, got our name from a woman," that was the most woke I got. I never got into like the science of it, just like the morality of it. Like, yeah, we got to respect our mothers, like Tupac. So I loved his message.
And I wanted to do things like that. Yeah, like it's cool to put up with a woman instead of put her down. People want to put her down. Oh, I got a bunch of girls. I don't even take care of them. And they brag about that. But it's like, no, I appreciate my mother, and it's a mutual thing. He's like, if she gets to create one, then the man should have the, what's the lyric?
Says if she
A man has the right to tell a woman when and where to create one, because she can make one.
Yeah,
but it's like we're both needed. Like you can create, like I give you that seed, but you plant it, and together, it's like, it's not like you do more because you carry it. It's like, I give it to you though. So it's just, I hate when people say, oh, the woman carries it and they get more. I want it to be even. We both do. You know, he gave you that seed. He took care. People can't even produce because they destroy their sperm is, it's called sterilized. And the women are infertile and the men are sterile because they're low on sperm count.
Yeah,
because
this is a huge issue right now.
Pockets. That's why I want to start wearing silver underwear and silver clothes. I just don't have the money, but I'd be argued. I wear pure silver socks, everything. You send me with silver.
Dude, check this out. My girlfriend just hooked me up with this. It's a RFID reducer. Yeah, you put it on your phone and it kind of like reduces the EMF reduction.
Coming off of it, yeah.
But yeah, man, that's a huge issue right now. Like what they call it, the birth rate is declining. Men are not producing enough testosterone.
I read the number one patient or patients for brain tumors in America is doctors and lawyers because they're on their phone all the time to their head.
Wow.
So they have the most brain tumors. So people say, listen to the doctors and lawyers. We all want our children to be doctors and lawyers. Every parent wants their child to be that. But that's
so funny,
But
right?
my point is that wealth or success is not how much money you make. It's wisdom and health, which equals wealth. Wisdom and health together is wealth, because the doctors are the richest, make the most, but they're the sickest. They have brain tumors because it's all just they charge hours for they charge hundreds or thousands for an hour. So they love to talk. Oh, talk to me. The more you talk to me, the more money I get. And they have brain tumors. So I'm like, my parents would love if I was a doctor or a lawyer, because at first they admitted they thought I was crazy, and I don't blame them. Because I was stuck in the garage researching all kinds of conspiracies, but I was mostly proving them wrong. Like none of these are just brainwashing us so they can sell us.
Were your family kind of like your first audience? Were you bringing this to them first? I kind of did that when I first got into all this stuff. I was like around 13 years old, which was like 2006-ish for me. No, that was way younger. But yeah, around the same age, 12, 13, whenever that was. I'm 30 now. But I remember freaking out. I felt like I uncovered the truth about life. I was like learning about the Freemasons, Illuminati, and all this stuff. And I was showing them the dollar bill. You see this eye? You know what this really means? So like my brothers were like, I'm the youngest of four. My brothers were like, what the Eddie? You fucking crazy. What is all this shit? But later on, eventually they're like all my friends and family came back and like, yo, like you were right. Like what the fuck? And now they consult with me. Like when the pandemic happened, I had friends calling me, yo, should we be scared? What is this? This is the end of the world. I'm like, nah, like relax, it's all good. This is gonna blow over. Just don't take that thing, Wow. So was it like that for you? Like, was your family your first audience? Were you like, yo, check this out? Yeah.
Well, when I was in kindergarten, I got the award for most talkative.
Oh wow.
Kindergarten. I was like, are they trying to embarrass me but to me, I was like, cool, because I want more people. To me, I don't think they're making fun of me. Like, oh, he talks a lot. I think they're saying, we want more people to talk. Like, he's going to get an award for talking. Like, participate more.
Yeah.
And that's because I mostly wanted to have fun at recess. So I would, even not all the way to kindergarten, but when I got older, I remember that I would help other people finish and I'd teach them like this is because we moved a lot. So I knew different math. I knew different ways of doing math because I had different math teachers. Usually math, they stay the same, like they all teach the same way, but there's different ways to do it. Like in China, I saw this Instagram post where they just, like, what's 3 times 9? You put 3 lines vertical and 9 horizontal, and you count the dots where they intersect, and that's the answer.
Yeah,
like, what the hell?
So wild, yeah.
Crazy. So I'm like, we're not taught that. We're taught
no
to, like,
wonder they're so advanced.
Yeah,
like, what the hell?
There's easier
I've
ways.
been doing it all easy this whole time. Over here, like trying to do it in my head, like doing this thing, like okay, take the 9 and bring it over
Imagine
here.
If
like
you could just draw the lines in your head, 3 and 9, and just count the dots in your head.
That'd be wild if you could do that. I couldn't do that. Not right now.
So,
at least.
so we're not taught that. And that's why they teach us to write with the right hand, and we should be using both so that we can have not just following orders with the right hand, which is control to the left brain, but the left hand tied to the right brain, which is more creativity and not just logic and reason. Right? I want to teach that unity. That's why Maga and I have this new book coming out, Basement Boy and Attic Girl. I'm Basement Boy, she's Attic Girl. We live in a tree house. She's at the attic, I'm in the basement. We find each other, and it's an example that the tree comes to life, and all these treasures start popping up, and hidden rooms start showing themselves. Magic starts to happen when we unite. Just like the world, I feel like
when we unite, because the Eastern India is all spiritual, but then you come to America and it's all science. In India, they have many gods, and over here we have one God. So to merge that spirituality or science with spirituality is unifying the hemispheres of the earth. And so we're split on the earth because we're split within ourselves. Once we merge the left and right brain and more people are using both their hands, you'll start to realize that the whole world is coming together too. So it starts with you first, and then when you zoom out, you realize, whoa, oh shoot, the whole earth has now united once again.
Yeah. Dude, I remember when I was like 14, 15, I used to go to my friend Crow's house. We called him Crow. That was like the smoke spot. And one time me and him were so high, we were like, dude, let's just try and write with our left hand. And we spent like hours just writing sentences with our left hand, like trying to bring the dexterity out, like just weird stuff like that. But
there's cool ways where you just get like a whiteboard and 2 markers and then just try to be symmetrical the whole time. Just if you're right-handed, make sure your left is following the right. And over time, you can have your right hand follow your left hand or whatever.
Yeah.
Maga. Oh yeah, you showed me that.
Hey.
That's part of our project. We'll get into that later.
Yeah, for sure. Okay, so you're doing this, you're showing your family, and you mentioned earlier your family kind of thought you were crazy. So, like, tell me a little bit about that. Like, what was it like uncovering this truth and having to tell your family and your friends, I'm assuming? Like, how did your friends react when you started really getting deep into this stuff?
So, basically, my friends, after I graduated 2016 as a super senior, should have graduated 2015, but when I got kicked out for being high on campus my junior year, actually my sophomore year, they needed only a few years of PE, but then when I got kicked out and went to the continuation, they needed 4 years. So I wasn't held back. I had to complete an extra year for PE.
Yeah.
So anyways, yeah.
Just running miles all day long?
I know, right? So anyways,
Some shit right there.
so back to the question, how I came into all this, I didn't learn, I learned about the Masons, the Freemasonry, secret societies, flat earth, and astrology all at once through Santos, because like I would watch one video and then it's an hour long about astrology, and right underneath it he has an hour long of the maritime law that he learned.
So Santos was like really the guy for you, like where it all started.
So again, I never read a book front to back, but he has, and people know that because he'll pull out the book, get this book and go to this page and it says this here, and he'll show you. So he's not just saying he read it; he has the book, and
he's like a living Google.
Yeah,
a living ChatGPT.
And his YouTube's gone now, so I tell people, like, I wish they were there to learn from him, but I did all that work for you because I turned hours-long videos that he had on his YouTube. I crammed it into 1 minute on TikTok, and that's how I went viral. Like, how does he know this stuff? I never claimed I knew it. I'm like, go watch Santos's page. He has, and I'm such a talker. I can say, this is what he said. And they're like, oh my God, write a book about it. I'm like, okay. So I turned my notes into a book, and Santos got me there. Now, what happened with my friends was, I graduated 2016. I got a job because I got a job. I was ready to work after high school. I was ready to work, and I was going to college for a little bit. But I went to, in the middle of me working, I was not partying with my friends, so I still had, they followed me, and I had contact with them, but we just didn't have the same, like I was already becoming vegan. So, and I never liked drinking. So like, I knew like if I hang out with these people, I'm just gonna be throwing up all the time. So I'm like, they're not really my friends. I love hanging out, but I don't really love hanging out. Like I couldn't know, like how can I find friends where, because I just love being around people. But I hated what they did. So I'm like, how can I put myself around people who don't do that? Like, is there even such a thing as people who don't drink alcohol or like who don't eat fast food? It's hard to find other people who don't drink alcohol and don't eat fast food. So like if we're hanging out, they're gonna stop at the fast food and I don't wanna eat that. It's just hard to, and even with my own family, it was hard to eat with my family at the table because I'm on this vegan journey and they eat meat. So they think I'm not. And then also what really sucks is that I found out in the spiritual community, you can't say, you could say, but good morning has the word mourning in it. So it's like something when you mourn after someone's death, is you're grieving, you're sad. So there's no good morning. It's not that it's bad to mourn, it's good, but you don't want to be in a constant mourning every day. Oh, good morning, good morning. It's like, why am I mourning still? So
Yeah, I've heard
we say
this.
grand rising.
Yeah,
So
that's why when I
parents
texted you the other day, I said, Buenos dias. I'm like, I'll bet you anything if I say good morning, he's going to be like, yo, we don't say that
I know.
shit.
Well, it's just like,
so I'm like,
it's
Buenos
just,
dias.
it's not that we don't say it. It's just like,
Yeah.
I know what it carries, and I want to tell other people, like, yo, we can actually, like, there's sublimity. It could make you sadder because you
Yeah.
don't really realize
Yeah,
it.
yeah.
So my parents thought because I didn't say good morning that, oh, you don't even say good morning, you don't even eat with us. I'm like, yeah, I don't eat your food, and I don't believe in saying good morning, but I
Yeah.
love you guys. I just can't, we're not on the same level. So it was beating me up that the more I learned, the harder it was to have friends and family. But I'm just so happy to meet people like you, because this is, my whole journey is like, man, we need all the people, like, there's so many more like us that just don't know, that they don't know. Like, if they knew, they'd be like, oh, I need to go to San Diego. That's my goal. They're just like, man, I'm stuck here. I'm never going to get out of here. And I want to show people, like, don't think that way, because there's people out here and they want to have friends. They want, like, I want, like, man, look, there's a bunch of empty seats here. We could all be around a sound bowl. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
That would make me the happiest, and it would actually make the world a better place, because the fact that we're not doing this is why the world is messed up, because people live in apartment buildings and they don't even know the people above them, next to them, beside them, in front of them, below them. And back then we had villages, everybody knew each other's name. And nowadays, you don't know anybody, you don't know your own neighbor. And that's the world that's scary to me, because I have a 9-year-old son now. And if something happened to me, I have to know that he's around a world where everybody's strangers and will judge him. And I have to tell him, hey, tuck in your chain because someone's going to steal it. Why do we live in a world like that? Why can't we live in a world where it's like we all just, like I heard if you go to certain places in India or Cambodia, you can leave your bag on the grass and nobody will touch it, because that's like Buddha's birthplace, you know what I mean?
Wow, yeah.
So it's like, that should be it, you know, like that's how Earth should be. It's our home, we're brothers, we're all relatives, and it's just so much division that I want to break and crumble. It's a house of cards, Santos says, and just spreading that truth is going to make it crumble down slowly, and we're going to see all the smoke clear away, and it's a beautiful heaven on earth. It's here. We don't have to wait after death to have it. Dreams are little pieces of that heaven that you're going to get to when you die, which you never die. You actually just get rid of this meat suit. You're not the flesh sack that you see in the mirror. You're the eternal soul. Thank you, Ken Wheeler.
Yeah. Dude, yeah. Epic. Yeah, I agree 100%, man. It is unfortunate. Like, to be honest, I've been turned into a bitter person over the years, just because I've been betrayed by so many people. And I'm an empathetic person. I'm a Cancer astrologically, you know, and so, you know, I'm empathetic and all that. And I've given so many people so many chances through my life. And I can literally tell you, every person I've ever loved deeply has betrayed me.
Wow.
Every single one of them. Every single one of them. And that shit fucks with you, you know? But I still keep strong, because I know it's all for a bigger purpose. And I don't put it past them, and I give them grace, because we're all dealing with what we know and how we know to be, you know? But I agree that people like us can begin to shift that and open their minds. At least I hope we can. But
so my dad actually was a big influence. He helped me first wake up to basically the fact that because they took me to church when I was younger, because they wanted to be better people and, you know, be part of society and be good citizens, you know. But they never really resonated with going to church. They tried it a bunch of times. I remember going to Sunday school and learning about Noah and drawing in Sunday school while they were doing the preaching stuff. I was coloring and drawing all the animals on Noah's boat. Yeah. And I thought I never really dug too deep into the stories, but I'm glad I learned them, because when I heard Santos speak and he's talking about them, he's telling you the metaphorical or the deeper meaning to the stories. I was like, oh my God. I was like, the Bible is such a, like it's almost forced upon us. We talked about that. There's a Bible in every hotel right there, you know? So it's a huge impact on everybody. But so to learn that there's a deeper meaning, because it's just, there's so many things that troubled me, but Santos just made it clear. He's like, they demonize the negative side of the world, but that negative side is just like seeds grow in darkness. And he's like, when they shun that out, that's why you feel like something's missing, because they're making you say something's bad when it's not. And it's just, man, I love Santos. I hate that he flips out like me. He gets mad at people. It's because
even though Santos is not a Christian, he's more of a believer than those who believe in Jesus and God, because they're blindly believing. When he's not believing, he has faith in humanity. He has faith in what he's teaching. So when people say, what about when he yelled? I yell all the time. What about when I wrote that book? What about when, let's talk about the good things. I don't agree with yelling at people. I wish Santos wouldn't, but I also wish people would stop picking on him and do research, because they're going to find that the earth is flat. You go out to the beach. I have a spyglass where you pull it out.
No
and
way.
I said, someone will tell you, oh, what happens when the ships go over the curve?
You're
And I
like,
said, oh, really?
look.
It's still right there.
Yeah.
So it's more of a, there's nothing wrong with believing. If it ain't broke, don't fix it. But I want to tell people that there's knowing out there. You can know, and to know thyself, the way it says in the Bible, you will know the truth and the truth will set you free. So all I want to do is free people from concern, fear, and confusion with truth, because the truth will always prevail. And every human has a different perspective of it. And when you listen to people's stories, you get a clearer picture. And that picture is going to be that zoom out, and it's the cover of my book. Look, we're all relatives because we share a relationship with each other. You share a relationship with the minerals, plants, animals, other humans, and the stars. So that monkey's your relative, that star is your relative, that water, everything, because we share a relationship. When you breathe out carbon dioxide, that's the tree. That's what the tree breathes in, and the tree releases oxygen, which you breathe in. So it's like we're symbiotic relationship with the trees, and not just with the trees, with everything: the earth, the sun, the moon. That's why you're supposed to plant your seed. That's why women's menstrual cycle is tied to the moon. It's a moonstral cycle. Thank you, Santos. It's all magical, and to me, that truth is like, wow, I'm a tiny version of the universe. of the earth. I have all the elements. I have carbon body. I have water in my cells, so that's carbon, earth, water, hydrogen, air, oxygen, fire, nitrogen, and ether is what it's what makes you alive. You're not just a rock, water, air, fire. You also have a consciousness. You have a soul. You have a spirit. You have emotions, and the earth has emotions. Oh, one more thing. So that red light, they say it's evil because they make the devil red, and red is on the bottom of the rainbow. It's red, orange, yellow, green, blue, purple, violet. Ultraviolet is high frequency, infrared is low frequency. That's why it's less healing when you stare at it. But the earth is at a standing 7.8 ELF, which is electromagnetic low frequency. Nikola Tesla said, it's actually not Nikola Tesla, he knew that the ionosphere produces lightning, which strikes the earth, and it charges the resonant cavity. There's always lightning every day, and they're more intense above the equator. There's a lot of lightning at the equator, but it's mostly rain, and it's less powerful. So basically, what I'm saying is that the earth has lightning. It's like your brain always has neurons firing off. So the earth is alive. Those clouds, that lightning proves it. And the lightning keeps the earth at an ELF 7.8, which means it's a low frequency. It's not high. The higher you go, the higher the frequency. That's why we have those cathedrals, which are cathedrals, which are energy generators or harnessers, because they're really tall. And the taller you go, the more voltage there is that you can pick up. So, and that's why they had big arched doors, because they built these cathedrals and churches on ley lines. And the way to find a ley line is you look out in nature and you'll see where are the most trees that are spiraling, or like I said, you'll have trees curving in towards a spot like they're being sucked in, and you would kill those trees and build your temple around it, or you would build a temple around those trees. And some churches have like trees in the middle of the church.
Yeah.
And it's a healing center. So when people say we had giants and that's why we made huge doors, I know that giants are real. Like today, there's people who are so tall.
Yeah.
And I just want to say that those huge doors were meant for us. It's like when you have a goldfish and you put it in a tiny bowl, it's going to stay small. But when you put a goldfish in a bigger bowl, it actually gets bigger. So we had big doors. I feel like we are the giants. It's not like, oh, there's another race out there. No, if you were to live in a home with big arch doors, you would grow taller and bigger because your mind isn't limiting you to what you see.
It was meant to magnify
your
what
mind
we
is going to
could
say,
become.
why would I make you bigger if you're in a small space? I need to keep you small. But if you walk around and there's huge doors, your body would just start growing bigger.
Yeah, I like that. And I like that explanation.
But not
of
just
it.
your body. I feel like it'll increase your imagination, because we just see corners and every door is a rectangle.
Yeah.
So it makes you boxed in and not want to. It just reduces your thinking.
Yeah.
But that ELF resonance, it's called the Schumann resonance, discovered by Dr. Otto Schumann. His last name was Schumann, so it's called the Schumann resonance. But I always say that's not a mistake. Human is in the word Schumann, so it's the human resonance.
Yeah.
We have to resonate. Humans resonate with the Schumann. Schumann below, human above.
The human.
And So there's one more thing, because I hate taking the floor so
No,
long.
no,
I'm so
sorry.
freaking talkative.
There's a lot to say, man. There's a lot to say.
When a mother holds a baby and she's inside of a car or inside of her home on the couch, the baby will cry. But as soon as she puts her bare feet on the grass outside, the baby will stop crying most of the time.
Well,
That's because it's
I got to try that one. I'm having a baby soon, so
put your feet in the grass and hold that baby.
go walk outside, babe. But dude, yeah, there's so much to be said. But I like that explanation about the big doors because I see that a lot, and I've been wondering to myself, like I don't really believe that the Nephilim built those.
Because where are they? You know?
Yeah, so they could go to church or what? You know, like they built these big doors and they have small chairs.
I know, exactly.
So I'm like, it couldn't have been the Nephilim, but like, why? Why the big doors? And I never really thought about it that way, and I like that because that makes the most sense because that beautiful architecture from that time period was meant to put us in that space of divinity, meant to put us in that space
To
where
amplify you and magnify you.
Exactly.
And that's why my wife Maga, that's how we have such a connection, because her name's Maga. And she's like, you talk about magnetism, that's my name. And I'm like, that's right. We're all, it's not that men are electric and women are magnetic.
yeah.
We're all electromagnetic because we're all masculine, feminine.
Oh yeah.
That's why men have nipples. We don't breastfeed, but we're basically just mirrors of each other. Like you have to understand the torus and the bowl, which is
Yeah.
the hyperbola, and it goes over people's heads. But this is what everything is. Everything is either a hyperbola or a torus or both. And to prove it, the hyperbola is an arbol. That's why we say arbol, because it's a hyperbola. And the center of this hyperbola is the plane. And so when you have an arbol or a tree, the seed doesn't just grow upwards, it grows down and up.
Yeah.
So it grows downward and upward. So that would be your belly button. That's called your navel point. So from your navel point, you don't just grow taller, you grow down. Your legs grow down from your belly button,
Yeah.
and your arms grow out from your belly button.
Hopefully.
So I'm like, we're like a tree. The belly button is where the seed would be, or the earth would be, and then below the earth is the roots or your legs, and above the earth is your trunk or your chest, and the branches are up here.
Interesting.
So it's that's a beautiful take on that.
Dude, yeah. This is random, but I was thinking about this the other day. It's kind of funny how like the Freemasons or whatever, like, you know, the spiritual architects of the old cathedrals were trying to convey God. It's through the architect, because to them, to the old classical occultists and esotericists, God was perfect and God's design was perfect. So they were trying to show that like through architect that God is perfect and his plan is perfect, or its design is perfect. But it's kind of funny though, because in nature, God's actual real design is wonky. At first glance, right? Like plants, they're wonky. They're all over the place. You know, nothing's really straight lines in nature, but it's perfect in its design. Like as you were explaining, we breathe out what they want. Everything's perfect in the way that it works, not perfect in straight lines. So it's funny that we as humans, as men, you know, created these straight lines as an expression of how God is perfect. So this is just a random thought I had. It's like, okay, like this is the only way we could convey God's perfection is through our expression of straight lines and perfect symmetry. That is not what God does in nature, obviously, but it's an expression of how God is perfect in the way he designs things.
That's right. It's a metaphor.
Yeah, that was just something I thought. I was like, okay, like, yeah, it's kind of like God doesn't make straight lines. Like, so God isn't like some architect of cathedrals and stuff, but God is an architect of plants and humans and systems and solar systems and all this crazy stuff that is perfect in the way that it works. And that's what they were trying to express through the perfectness of the architecture.
Yeah, and with the architecture, it's important that the men are builders, but women are not that women aren't builders. It's like women are decorators. Men build the house, women decorate the house. I want it this color, I want that, I want a big vase, I want this, and he'll build it. So to me, it's a teamwork thing, but men are building buildings for themselves instead of for the women or for both of us. So like the columns are straight today, but they should be spiraling columns with curves at the top. So you have like, there's different names. There's like Dorian and other names, but the point is that I made this example that all the worker ants are following, or all the worker ants are following the queen ant. They don't follow the king ant, it's the queen ant.
Yeah.
So all the little men are following orders for her, and they're building the colonies and doing things. So I'm saying men are meant to build, but let's build for the right reasons, and let's build with the feminine
basis. Like
Yeah,
we're gonna build
feminine passion.
We're gonna build things curving and spiraling, and so the men bring the sturdiness, but the women bring actually the arches. It's safer to be under an arch than a flat surface during an earthquake. If you're under an arch, that's better because it's not going to fall on itself.
Less stress.
Yeah, there's less stress on it. So the curves are actually stronger than the lines. We think lines are masculine, but and the masculine is stronger, but the feminine curves are what actually hold more. So that's why I'm like, we need to have arches on our doorways.
You know, I thought about this too. I have a lot of random thoughts. They're like baked thoughts, but I'm sober, so they're like, I don't know. But I realized that God is a man. You know how I know God is a man?
Go ahead.
Because in the Bible, Jesus says there is only one unforgivable sin, and that is to speak out blasphemy against the Holy Spirit. And the Holy Spirit has to be a female. And this is how I know God is a man, because a man's never going to let somebody talk shit about his wife.
So how did he defend her?
Well, that's what I'm saying. Jesus says in the Bible that the only unforgivable sin is to talk blasphemy against the Holy Spirit. So if the Holy
that's
Spirit,
unforgivable. Okay.
that's the only unforgivable sin, is to talk blasphemy against the Holy Spirit. So, and this is kind of just a joke I'm saying.
No, I get
so
it.
I'm
That makes a lot
I'm
of
like,
sense.
God has to be a man because no man's going to let anybody talk shit about his
Yeah,
woman. So
exactly.
I'm like, damn, God's a man.
And that's
Holy
the Trinity:
Spirit's a woman.
Father, Son, Holy Spirit. It should have been Father, Son, Mother.
Yeah,
But that's Mother is the Holy Spirit. It's the
just random shit. But yeah, man, a lot to say. So there's so much we can say about your past and what made you you. But to get back into your story and then segue into your book, which I do want to talk about, at what point did you become divine being divine, and where did the virality start to come in with social media?
So I was actually divine beings with the S being divine. It was divine beings being divine because I didn't want to put it on myself. I said, we're all divine beings trying to be divine. But someone's like, take off the S. And I'm like, but then it'll be me saying I'm divine being divine. They're like, yeah, so what? But like, you're like an example. And I'm like, yeah, I want to be an example because who better to be an example for my son than myself? And I'm mostly just doing things for my son. And I know other people have kids, but it's like, I want my son to know that I tried my hardest and I did anytime my son has a question, I want to have an answer. Or to say like, I don't know, let's find out together. I hate just saying, I don't know, and just keep going on. Like, no, like, I'm not sure, that's a good question, let's figure that out. So divine being divine happened because I went on TikTok and I was basically saying that, hey guys, did you know that Dr. Sebi, Santos taught me this? This was the main thing. I was like, yo, people need to know this. I got to make a TikTok now. When Santos said, you know, Dr. Sebi took 77 patients to court, and before he took them to court, or he had proof that before he treated them, they had all these cancers and diseases, but after he treated them, they no longer had those. So I'm like, wow, we don't need to go to, like, doctors and lawyers don't really get rid of things. They just treat things, and you have to take that remedy for life. And it's not a get rid of remedy, it's just a Band-Aid on top of remedy. And I'm like, how do we get rid of these Band-Aid solutions and fix the real problem? And Santos Bonacci helped me. He said Dr. Sebi's name, and I looked him up, and I was like, oh my God, this guy's a real dude. He helped people. He won Supreme Court, and nobody's talking about him. But actually, Nipsey Hussle, the rapper, was talking about him, and Nick Cannon was going to make a documentary with him.
Yeah, there's a weird thing about people trying to make a documentary, then they like die or get like
he died in jail
weird.
because they thought he was because apparently he was money laundering. He had $30,000 in his briefcase, and he went to jail from the airport and died in jail.
Who?
Dr. Sebi.
Dr. Sebi.
He just brought a briefcase full of money, and they said, what are you doing with this? Let me investigate you. And he died in jail while they were investigating him.
They say Aaliyah supposedly was going to do that too, make a documentary.
Wow.
And she passed away. Or no, not Aaliyah, sorry, Left Eye, right? Left Eye, yeah. But yeah, he's cool. I made a cool little compilation video of him on my channel. You can check it out. But just like the stuff he says, he's just super cool.
So yeah, he
with
smoked cannabis from 14 till he was 80. He made a video where he's like, I can drop on my knees and not feel pain. And he's having babies at 70. So I'm like, this man is a goat. And he's a huge inspiration. And basically, you don't need to, he basically went around and tried so that's what really, like, I have many videos on TikTok that blew me up. But one of the ones that got me up there was I have 500,000 views on this video before I ever reached 1 million. It was this video where I was talking about limes compared to key limes, because people didn't know that. I mean, a lot of people know there's organic and inorganic, but when I show you it, instead of talking about it, I can say this is organic, it's smaller. This is the inorganic. Basically, this is natural, been here for billions of years, and this is brand new. And you can see the big difference. Why are the new ones bigger and the old ones are smaller? And it's
Maybe they're bigger because the people who are making them are Nephilim.
well, I found out that there's more like smaller. It's like a black widow. Do you think the bigger the black widow or the bigger the scorpion, the more venomous? But actually, the small scorpions and the small black widows are the more poisonous for some reason.
That's true, yeah.
And so I said the small lemon has it packs more of a punch than this stuff. This stuff is just injected with water and it's bigger. This
That's
one, or whatever the heck they
bloated.
put, all kinds of stuff. A potato is actually a giant bean.
No way.
Potatoes are just enlarged pinto beans.
What the heck?
So that's why Dr. Sebi said potatoes are garbage. That's like eating pinto beans. You might as well get chickpeas, which are the real garbanzo beans.
What the heck?
So basically, I can show you a regular banana's big and the burro bananas are smaller from Mexico, but they have a lot of seeds, so nobody wants to eat them because it's crunchy. You have
Crunchy
key lime.
banana.
Key limes are tiny, and the regular ones are bigger. And then cherry tomatoes are the ones you want, not the big tomatoes. You want a cherry tomato. They look like cherries.
I
They're
love
small.
those.
So me, it's smaller. I just like less is more. Simplicity is divinity. What Ken Wheeler taught me.
Wow.
So I said they're trying to complicate things. The corn is this big. When you can put 5 cobs on your hand back in the day. It's called maize, and they're purple and green and pink. They're rainbow colored, and now they're just yellow and big. I'm like, oh my God! If I knew this, like, I would love for this rainbow to be in my body and not this yellow. The lack of color, it's not even in there anymore. You're not even getting nutrients anymore.
Dude, yeah, there was this taco shop. It might still be there down in San Diego. They use like the colored maize, and all their tacos are like colored.
Beautiful.
The chef, she was cool. We knew her. I used to know her, but I forgot what happened to her. But that was cool. I was like, what? Purple tacos? Yeah.
Oh, the tortilla.
Yeah, the tortilla
Purple? Oh
was
my
like-
God, because
yeah.
it wasn't just yellow corn.
Nah. But
And that's why corn oil is bad, because it's yellow corn oil. If it was rainbow maize oil, then that'd probably be better.
imagine that, man. So how old were you when you became divine being divine?
I think 2020 I made my Instagram, or I changed it. Around 2019 and 2020 I was divine being divine. Well, it was divine beings being divine, and then divine being divine. I dropped the S. And I got my tattoos, like 2 years ago, if you met me, maybe 2.5, I had 0 tattoos.
No
People
way.
were like, how'd you, even the top of my head's tatted, like the whole side, like everything, my whole head's
What?
tatted. And it's because people would laugh, like, who the heck is this kid? He thinks he knows it all. I'm like, I don't think. I study Santos. Like, I've never been on a rocket to look down at the earth, so they laugh when they see this drawing. Oh, you drew the flat earth and you really believe that? And
Yeah.
I'm like, yes, I do. And not only do I believe it, I know it. You believe in the globe. You're the one who's the believer, not me.
Yeah.
I don't believe anything, honestly. I either know or I don't know. I'm like, you believe the ball because NASA said so, but all our ancestors said different. I'm like, and if you say, well, we're smarter today, we have rockets, they didn't have rockets back then. So how come we can't replicate the pyramids back then today? So that means they were smarter back then, not dumber. So what are you saying, that they were smart enough to build pyramids but not smart enough to go to the moon and build a rocket? No, they couldn't. You can't go there. I'm like, and if you could, why haven't we gone there? Why isn't the richest rapper doing be the first rapper to, Soulja Boy would have been the first rapper to do a
He
music
definitely
video.
would be, yeah.
He'd be the first to be on the moon making a music video.
Yeah, yeah.
I'm the first rapper to be on the moon. So why haven't they done it?
Drake?
Yeah, you can't do it. I would have done it.
For real.
I would have made a GoFundMe. I'm trying to raise $200,000 to build a rocket to go to the moon. Nobody
that's-
just builds rockets to go to the
The
moon.
whole thing is creepy, man. And it's just such a joke too, like that we like were able to call them up there, like, yo, you on the moon? Yep, we're up here. Cool. Like, what? Get out of here.
People don't
dude.
realize we're supposed to be spinning 1,000 miles per hour. So I tell people, I used to not just believe in the globe, I knew the globe. I still know it. I know all the speeds. People who believe in the globe and laugh at flat earth, they don't even know the 4 motions of the earth. Not only are we rotating 66,600 miles per hour, 666, it's actually 66,700 or whatever, but it's supposed to be around 666 because it's the whole, the earth, matter, material, the devil.
It rounds to 666.
And they say the earth is curved there's a guy named Witsit Gets It. He had a video where he went viral. He's like, the earth is curved at 8 inches per mile squared. Well, that's just 0.666 feet mile squared. If you transvert the 8 inches, it's 0.666 feet. It's not half a foot. It's a little more than half a foot.
No way.
0.666 feet per square is the curvature, supposed curvature of the earth. And then we're,
And so basically the four motions is we're rotating at 1,000 miles per hour at the equator, which you don't feel because people go to the beach and they go to places and they're stacking up, they're stacking rocks from the tiniest one, put a big one on top, little one, and those rocks are so balanced, not anything except an earthquake can tilt it. And it's like how that, so it's like, so anyways, 1,000 miles per hour at the equator, then the earth is going around the sun at, this one is 66,000, that's the one, that's the 66,000 miles per hour. So 1,000, 66,000, and now the sun is going around the Milky Way at 500,000 miles per hour, which is 500,000. And then the Milky Way itself, the giant disk that has a black hole that we're all going to get sucked into one day, that giant disk is moving through space at 600 million miles per hour. So the point though, people might say, well, it's so big and it's so massive you can't feel it because we're like ants on the thing. And I'm like, okay,
the only time you can feel it is when you're really drunk. That's when you can feel it.
So
we're living on a globe, I can tell you, I'm spinning right now.
So I would agree. I'd say that, okay, I get where you're coming from. We're so big and we're so tiny and the universe is so big. We don't see we don't notice like the slightest move or whatever.
Yeah.
But I'm like,
so you're saying everything's still, right?
Yeah.
Everything is still, everything's standing.
But that's what Santos said. He's like, no, you believe that because they told you that. The truth is that there is no shift. Those are the same 12 zodiacs forever. I have them right here.
Wow.
He's like, these are Aries is boring, Taurus is boring. These are the same old Aries, Taurus, Gemini, Cancer. It's bored, it's boring, it's old. And he's like, where's the new ones? He's like, God is so magical, but he can't give us new stars.
Right.
He's just making a point. He's like,
yeah.
Because he doesn't believe God. He's a God knower like I am. He knows that God is love, like the Bible says. God is love, God is light. It's nothing else. You can't see love, and you can't even see light. What people think is light is illumination, because there's invisible light. There's ultraviolet light and there's infrared light, and then that's the visible light spectrum. What about the invisible light spectrum?
So you're saying light, what most people perceive to be light is just light being illuminated.
That's right. It's the stimulated invisible light. It's light being stimulated. It's kind of like I say this. Imagine having a heat reading camera, like what is it, a thermo camera?
Yeah.
Everything's blue, that's cold, but if it's hot, it's glowing red or orange.
Like
if you touch something and you move your hand, it'll leave an orange imprint.
Yeah.
So the blue is cold, and basically you have the colder colors below the green, which is blue, purple, violet, and the warmer colors is yellow, orange, and red above the green. That's the rainbow. Mm-hmm. So warmer, colder. If I was in a room and I was still, and there was a thermo reader on me, I would blend in with the background because there's a movie called Minority Report with Tom Cruise where there's these little spiders that come into his room and they're scanning for heat signature to find him, but he goes into an ice cold bath and he's underneath it, so they can't detect him because they think it's just a cold room. But then he releases little bubbles and they find him. So the point is that if I stay still, I'm blue and I blend into my background. But as soon as I start doing jumping jacks and clapping, my blood will start pumping and I'll start heating up and I will start glowing in that room. So I can be stagnant or dormant, or passive, and then I can be active. So light is the same thing.
Illuminated.
Light can be invisible where it blends into the background and it's blue, but then light can be activated where you can see it now. Once I start doing jumping jacks, I'm producing heat and I'm glowing like literally a star.
Wow.
You would have orange glowing in the middle of that screen.
No
So
way.
I'm like, just by doing jumping jacks and having a big screen on me, I can brighten the room just by doing jumping jacks. like if you think about it.
Open your third eye with jumping jacks.
Yeah. So I'm like, that's what everything is everything is, the word mag in Sanskrit means to move. Thank you, Santos. Shout out to my wife, Maga. Mag means to move, and that's why we say magnetism, because it's a moving field of energy and it never stops moving. Nothing is actually still. You think this is still, not moving, but the atoms are moving. And the way to explain that is, Walter Russell in his book, The Secret of Light, he said if you have a copper wire and you bend it 90 degrees and you rotate that, it's 90 degrees, one of them is the axis and the other one is like a radius, and when you spin the radius, it makes a circle. Like if you spin it, like if I move my hand, it's the illusion of a wall and you can't go through it. Until I stop, you can go through it. Yeah. So it's the movement that gives the appearance of solidity.
Yep.
Like if you move a fan, you get your finger cut or something. You can't go through that. It's like a firewall. So I explain how everything in the universe that is visible, audible, and tangible, see, hear, and touchable, it's due to magnetism and magnetism alone. If it doesn't move, it doesn't exist. Everything moves, and that's what your atoms are. So when Santos says all is atum, as the Egyptians said,
It's saying everything is atoms, which everybody knows this is made of atoms, this is made of atoms. You're not teaching us anything new. Yeah, well, the atoms that you think are proton, neutron, electron are not that. Your heart does not release different blood when it goes out and in. It's the same blood. The blood that leaves has oxygen, which is why it's red, and the blood that returns has lack of oxygen because it just gave the oxygen to all your cells. So it's deoxygenated. It's just red blood, blue blood, which is just oxygenated and deoxygenated blood. So what I'm saying is the proton and electron are just opposite sides of the neutron. The proton is the positron, which actually goes into the neutral, and the electron is the negatron, which goes out of the neutral. So what it is input, output. The proton is charge, and the electron is discharge. And you can read that you can read this in the book by Michael Faraday. Michael Faraday said, magnetism is the dielectric field. So when you have a magnet, there's no such thing as magnetic attraction. There's only magnetic repulsion, because magnetism it's voluminous. Magnetism is both voluminous and luminous, which means luminous carries light, and voluminous means it creates a volume. That's why you can repel two magnets, because there's something there. What is it? There's this volume of energy, of force coming out of it. That's called magnetism, because it creates magnitude. It's creating space. The opposite would be dielectricity, which is erasing that space. It's sucking in that invisible pressure field. It's just pressure mediation. Magnetism is just pressure. And so that's why I said light is not a particle, because what is the energy that's coming out of a magnet that makes it repel? That's not a particle. There's no such thing as magnetrons, magnetron particles. That's not true. Yeah. Magnetism is like fluid dynamics. Like if you're in a tub and I press down in the middle, the edges will start pouring out. Like if this was full of water, and I start going like that, water will start seeping out the sides. It'll be like bloop. Yeah. So if I go down here, it affects the entire outside just by pressing down on the inside. The water will come up. Like if I were to do a cannonball in my bathtub, all the water would come out.
So you're saying that's kind of what's happening with the magnet? Energy's pushing on it and creating the field?
The field is coming in from one side and coming out the other, just like your blood goes into your heart one side and out your heart the other side. But so the point is that your heart is not just pumping out, it's sucking in, which allows it to pump out. It can only pump out if it's sucking in. It's an input, output. It's what everything is based on.
Like a torus, basically.
That's why I said down to your atoms is doing what your heart is doing. That's what the earth is doing. That's why you have a sun and moon, because the sun, Santos said, is the radiating, repelling part of a magnet. We live on a giant magnet, so where's the repelling part? It's the sun, which releases energy. And the attracting part is obviously the North Pole, where all compasses are pointing to. So at the center of this earth, it's not just sucking in all of your compasses, but it's also producing the aurora borealis, which is the green northern lights. So people are like, oh, the northern lights. It's where the sun's particles, photons, are scraping against the field of the earth. But the sun is actually underneath that field. It's not outside the field. The earth has a big field around it, bubble. And they say we're protected by it. Without it, the sun would burn. The ozone layer is opening and the sun rays are going to burn us because the layers are thinning out. But the sun is already in the layers. It's not outside the layers. And so I can answer the question of why is the sky blue? It's not a reflection of the ocean. The reason the sky is blue is because it's not always blue. It's only blue when it's above you. When the sun is setting or rising, the sky is orange and yellow and purple. So basically the sky is blue because the sun is near. And the sky is red because it's going away. The sky is actually clear. But when the sun comes closer, it's blue because that's what produces the rainbow. Red, orange, yellow, green, blue, purple. That white sun holds all the colors in it. And without that sun, it would just be pure black. Obviously, you have stars in the background.
Wait, so why is it blue?
Because the sun produces the rainbow.
Yeah.
But you don't see the blue light when it goes far away, because blue light, you can only see it close. That's why it's like this. Blue light travels like this, and that's why it can penetrate you. So it doesn't go far. It's a 5G tower releases millimeter waves, which is the same as ultraviolet light or blue light. So blue light is harmful. You're not supposed to stare at it. And that's like going next to a 5G tower. You're not supposed to be under blue light because it'll burn your skin. But there's another version of that blue light, which is just above ultraviolet light, which is the 5G millimeter waves that the towers produce. it really is toxic. If you go up to a 5G tower, they say to stay away from it because it's radiation. So what happens when you get closer, you can't breathe because that frequency coming out of the tower, it's not coming out of the tower, it's not emitting anything. It's like me slapping my hand really fast in a pond and you're getting affected by the ripples.
Yeah.
So your phone has to get closer to the tower because these invisible waves don't go far. So instead of tapping it really fast and where the waves don't go far, imagine if I did cannonballs. That is what a long wave is, which is what red light is doing. That's why radios work far away. So what I'm saying is the blue light of the sun, you can only see it when it's above you because it's literally directly above the flat earth.
Yeah.
It's directly above you at 12 o'clock. Once Santos said the sun never rises or sets, it just comes towards you and away from you. When it's coming towards you, you're not going to get the blue light. You can never get a rainbow in the morning or in the evening because, like I said, the blue light doesn't travel far. So if the water droplets are capturing the sun's light, it's only going to capture red and orange light in the morning and the evening. Epic. Only in the middle of the day will it capture all those colors that the sun is made of.
Epic. Have you ever listened to Insane Clown Posse?
I know about them. I didn't listen to them. ICP, Hatchet Man.
Yeah, they have this one song where it's like the miracles. I think it's called Miracles. And there's one part, it's just like, magnets? How does that shit work?
There you go.
But
I can explain that. Thank you, Santos. Thank you, Ken Willer. He's the world's leading magnetrician, Ken Willer.
Yeah.
Because he has a magnetic field viewing device. He gets 2 optically flat pieces of glass, puts ferrofluid in it, which is the equivalent of your blood, because there's iron particles in your blood, which makes it red.
Yeah.
When iron rusts, it turns red. So he puts this ferrofluid. He said you could even put your blood between 2 flat pieces of glass and squish it, which spreads the blood out. The point is that the iron particulates are going to be attracted or repelled by the magnet you put underneath it. So this is called a magnetic field viewing device. Yeah. The magnet, if you put it under or below that piece of glass lined with LED, or you could even use the sunlight, the attracting part of the magnet will be the dark parts that you see, and the repelling parts of the magnet will be the light that you see because there's light going in. So you're going to see light and lack of light, and it makes a shape, which is the magnetic field, the torus. Mm-hmm. So Ken Willer said, there's an attraction and attraction happening, and he calls it the counter-rotating fields of magnetism, and he said, that's the field of the entire magnet, but if you break down your magnet to dust particles, each dust particle is a magnet. So he said each atom is the flower of life. Every atom is a whirlpool.
Now, do you think this like fractalizes out to the infinity of existence? Because check this out, and I have 3 books that I wrote, and the last one that I wrote it's titled The Crystal Lattice Mind Illusion. It's about consciousness and stuff like that. I'm more of a historian. I try to look at everything from like a historical perspective, but I like that you mentioned Walter Russell earlier, because one of my friends referred me to his book, The Law of One.
Okay.
And I was reading that, studying that for a little bit, and I had just published my 2nd book, and I didn't know what my 3rd one was going to be about. I was actually planning on writing it about what's his name? Von Braun, the Nazi scientist.
Werner von Braun.
Werner von Braun. I was gonna write a book about his prophecies on the fake alien invasion. That was my plan. But one day, after studying Walter Russell's book, I was underneath the sink doing some plumbing work, and it just came to me. I saw my 3rd book in a flash. I got it downloaded. I saw the title, the pages, the information, everything. And I saw the first thing that I saw too was the title, Crystal Lattice Mind Illusion. And I was like, that's it. So that's what I'm going to do. And it was the quickest book I had ever written too. Within a span of like 4 months, I got the download, wrote it, and published it within like 4 months. But I'm bringing it up because I made a realization throughout the process of this book having to do with this idea of torus fields and fractals and all that. What I realized after studying stuff that you're talking about, particles and this and that, is that at the most minute level of physical life, these particles or waves that we're seeing are phasing into existence from a seemingly nothingness, right? So everything's coming here from a nothingness, we could say. We don't know where it's coming from, but it phases in and out. And the yogis talked about this. Life is like a movie. Like Yogananda talked about life being like a movie. Everything's being projected from somewhere. It's phasing in and out. And so what I realized was like, a lot of the teachers would talk about going within, right? Like go within, the kingdom of heaven is within you. So I thought about it, and I was like, okay, so if there is a heaven, if there's a playing field out there in the dimensions where infinity exists, how do we get there? Well, all we would have to do is literally go inward to where the particles are coming from. So instead of going outward and trying to like take a spaceship, where is heaven? We literally would just have to go inward, find a way to concave, like a torus field, and go in where our particles are coming from, and go inward to where that place is. Pretty wild, right? It's like everything's phasing in and out of this nothingness. So we would literally have to go inward and follow the particles back into that nothingness that they're being projected from. And that's probably the same road that babies take. When babies are formulated and come here, they're coming from that same nothingness or infinity plane that all these particles are coming from. So everything's phasing in and out, and to get back to infinity or source, we would have to go in. We have to go microscopic, not macroscopic.
That's right.
Kind of trip.
Yeah, so the nothingness, Santos taught me that it's not nothing, it's no thing. So when we say nothingness, we really mean no thing, which is, it's nothing, it's not a thing that you can see, hear, or touch, but it's love. God is love and God is light. And I said light is not seeable, it's the principle. Illumination is the attribute, it's what light does. But light itself is invisible. He said there's invisible light, which is the principle, and visible light, which is electrical light. There's magnetic light, which is radiation, and that radiation carries electricity, which is the electric visible light. So magnetic is more superior than electric. Magnetic you can't see, and it's eternal. Electric you can see, and it's temporal.
Yeah.
So we come from nothingness, we come from no thing, and now all things come from no thing, which is that primordial source of energy that we all are made up of, which is, it's magnetism. So Santos said, so they're going to say, you think God is magnetism? I was like, I don't think. I know that God is love and light, and that's what magnetism is. Yeah. When I love, you're getting the radiation from my corazon. Thank you, Maga. Your corazon, it's the core zone, but it's the radiating, it's your co-radiating zone.
Whoa.
Because
Core
your core reason, corazon. So that's
corazon.
You have to have an intention. Like there's called a touch healing, where you just touch someone and you heal them. But I can't just touch you and heal you. I have to be a healed person to heal a non-healed person, because we're tuning forks. And if I'm vibrating at a higher, it's not really a higher frequency.
Brings it up.
If I have a higher energy, I can give you that higher energy.
Yeah.
And you have to be so you have to have such a shield on you that you're not, it's possible where lower energy can bring you down. Like if I'm with a low energy person, they'll bring me down. But if I'm strong enough, I'll bring them up. It's like a tipping scale. Who's gonna tip it? I'm gonna bring you up to my level, or you're gonna bring me down at your level.
Yeah. Oh yeah, being a healer is tough work. Not saying that I am, but I've spoken to a lot. Like Nader, the guys you met, he's a healer, and that's like the number one issue they have, I would say, after hanging out with a lot of them, is they have to learn how to not bring the energy home, per se. Find a way to heal without taking on the energy. That's like a master healer can do that. Heal without taking on the energy, transmuting it. It's a tough thing to do, apparently. But dude,
that's why I said, she said core reason. So your corazon, you need a core reason or an intention, and that intention is what brings your frequency up. So if you're happy, or not even like, you don't have to be smiling, you can just be at a neutral point, and that's enough to bring someone out of a negative point. You can bring them to the neutral. You're not trying to bring them positive and make them smile. Oh my God, like if they're sad, they're not going to start laughing, but they're going to say, one of the quotes I learned from Buddha is, Buddha, what has meditation taught you? Or what have you gained from meditation? And he said, nothing, but let me tell you what I have lost. Anger, fear, confusion, sadness, etc.
Love that. Dude, yeah, so much to say. I want to transition here and get into a little bit of the drama, if we may.
Of course.
So you wrote a really famous book that's gone viral. I mean, I see it almost every day on my feed, dude, to be honest. But the thing that sucks, I guess we could say, is that your work isn't really coming from you. It's coming from all these different pages. I see like these random pages sharing your work. And so I guess a part of that is because your work was stolen from you, you could say. So let's talk about your book. First of all, I want to know, when did you write your book? What is your book about? And then we'll go into how your book was stolen from you.
So I started writing, I discovered Santos around 2019, late 2019. 2020 is where I had 2020 vision the whole year, because before 2020 started, Santos was telling me that there's an alignment next year. He's like, December 21st, 2020 is actually December 21st, 2012 for Ethiopia, because they have their calendars like 8 years behind. So our 2020 was their 2012. And I know about there's a movie called 2012 with John Cusack where there's big ships
movie.
and it saves people.
Yeah.
And it has to do with the Mayan calendar, where they said, they didn't actually say, but people translate it as, their calendar ends December 21st, 2012, which would be the end of the calendar. But it's not the end of the world, it's just the end of the calendar. And whenever we hit December 31st, New Year's Day, we don't consider the end of the world. We just say, it's the end of the year, it's the beginning of the new year. So it was the end of the calendar, which marks the end of the age that we're in, not the end of the world. So he didn't explain it that way. What he told me was, this is the alignment. December 21st, 2020 is two planets are going to line up, Saturn and Jupiter. It's called a great conjunction, where only every 60 years they do that. But this is when it's happening in Aquarius. And he said, this is the age of knowing, where we're no longer going to believe, and a lot of beliefs are going to be shattered. And it's a good and a bad thing, because when you shatter people's beliefs, it either makes or breaks them. It made me who I am. Santos said, we're told as children Santa Claus is real, and to be good, he's always watching, and we realize he's not real. And he's like, in the same way, we're lied to about Jesus, that he's going to come back one day, but really, it gives power to the Vatican and the Pope, because the Pope sees himself as the vicar of Christ, which means he's the owner of all life on earth until Jesus gets back. So we're giving power to that the Pope gets to own all souls until Jesus gets back, which is when? Nobody knows. And people die every day, and it's basically like we're waiting for something that's never going to get here. So I don't want to depend on someone to get here to save us. We can save ourselves now.
Yeah.
So yeah, that was...
Yeah, we were just talking about, so when did you write the book? Like, what led you to write in the book?
So thank you. So I discovered Santos 2019. 2020, I was taking notes. It wasn't a book yet until late 2020, after I saw the alignment and I saw the conjunction, the great conjunction. I said, okay, this is it. I thought it was the end of the world, because Santos is like, the world's corrupt, and the pandemic just happened in October of 2020.
Yeah.
Or was it 2019 of October?
2019 of October is when it started happening, and then March of 2020
So that's
was like
the thing, is the lockdown is what helped me study. I was just like nobody, 6 feet apart, and that's what helped me. The world was pretty much on seclude mode.
Yeah.
Like, everyone go inside. They didn't want people petting their animals. Apparently a tiger at the zoo got COVID, so they said, don't pet your animals anymore, because they can give it to you. So people, not only were they staying away from their grandparents who used to cook for them, because the old people are susceptible. You don't want to get them sick. Stay away from your grandparents. Now stay away from your pets. And 6 feet apart, it's so anti-human. I was like, wow. So I guess I had no other choice but to dive inwards. That's what it was forcing on me. So I dove in, found Santos, thankfully. And I started writing in 2020. It was just notes. And then after the Great Conjunction, December 21st, 2020, it was 2021 when I started. I had a bunch of pages by then. And people at the beginning of 2021, people were already saying, I think I had my PDF up of Hearth 1, and then by the summer I had Hearth 2, and then by the end of the year I had Hearth 3. So by 2022, people like Zach already found me, Embodiment Celestial. I was already pretty big. People know me, you're the kid who talks about Flat Earth and shares his notes. I was not the book guy. I was just the conspiracy guy that knows what he's talking about and can talk for days and has drawings to go with it. So they're like, wow, you're dope. Where'd you learn all this? And I'm always like, Santos. So finally, 2022 comes in. By the way, I was a security guard up until 2022. I started in 2019. So my whole research journey, I was a security guard with my headphones in, listening to Santos at nighttime. And as soon as I woke up, I'm writing down what I remembered. Oh my God, he said this. And it's just, it all connects. So to me, when I heard Santos, I agree with Santos, and I resonate so deeply when he said, we come from pure information and intelligence, and our goal is to return to that. So he's like, I don't want to be missing anything. I want to gather all the pieces because I want to be whole again. That's the holy science, is to become whole, because we were divided on this earth. In fact, you're either a boy or girl. But he said, and that's why I say God is sexless. He's not a boy or girl. He's not even a man. And the devil is a boy and a girl. That's why they say 666 is the devil's number, and that's the man. We're made of atoms, because devil means double. Diabolo, double.
Yeah.
And so double just means everything you see. You can be deceived by your ears. You can be deceived by what you see. So Santos said Lucifer is the light bearer because he deceives your eyes, which you need light to see. It's the only sense that you have that requires light. You don't need light to hear, you don't need light to taste, but you need light to see. Santo said your eyes and the sun are connected, symbiotic. You can't. So anyways, he said, if you can hear it, see it, or touch it, it's the devil, which is the double because it's made up of matter, or it has a positive, negative. It's the atom, which makes it audible, visible, audible, tangible. And so my point was that magnetism repels out of the top and it repels out of the bottom because every magnet, the North Pole attracts the South Pole and the South Pole attracts the North Pole, but North and North attract, South and South attract. But everything goes back to that center.
Yeah.
And the center, Ken Wheeler says there is no North and South Pole, there's just the opposite of the middle.
Yeah.
It's like two sides of the same coin. He's like, we're talking about the silverage of the coin. Yes, there's tails on this side and heads on this side, but it's just silver coin. It's all made of silver.
Yeah.
So silver is the silver lining that unifies everything. We're talking about heads or tails. He's like, what is the coinage though? What is this? It's silver.
Yeah.
And we're trying to, we divide things because we're divided. We have two eyes. If we had one eye like Cyclops, we wouldn't be divided, but we have two eyes, two hands. And so the devil is just material things. And I love this world. And the whole thing about Satanism is that they love the world too, but and maybe they're just over glorifying the world. But the point is you're supposed to love that, acknowledge that we come from source and we're here on earth to we're not humans having a spiritual experience, we're spirits first having a physical temporary experience. And then we go back and everything we do here, like you said, is a theater or a movie.
Yeah.
Earth spells theater. And you want to be a master, which is the main star, not just an extra background person. You want to be the main actor, Tom Cruise in Mission Impossible.
Yeah.
You want to be the main star. So don't be a pawn where you just are limited. Pawns only go one step forward, and the queen can go anywhere she wants. And people are kings and queens doing whatever they want. And I'm like, we should all be able to go wherever we want. Not just, but what makes you, it's like you kind of have to, it's called the great work. You have to do the great work. And everybody has, like, it's the pursuit of happiness. It's the pursuit of becoming the queen on the chessboard.
Yeah.
The king is cool, but the queen goes everywhere she wants. And that's why they say magnetism, the woman is more powerful.
Queen.
Magnetism is superior, the woman, and the masculine is inferior. But he protects her physically and she protects him spiritually.
Yeah.
Like, I got this income coming in, like I'm supposed to be getting 1,000 a week or 2,000 at one point. I want to get back to that.
Yeah, let's go back to that. So because the information is great, and we can go deep into the information. I know you want to share a lot about that. Super passionate about that. I mean, that's how you got here.
No, I want keep me on point. I want to get the story out. There's so much. It goes off in every direction.
Yeah, I'm a story guy. I love stories and like how.
So check this out. My book, from Hearth 1 in 2020 to finally having Hearth 3 out, or working on Hearth 3 in the middle of 2022. So it took me 2 years to write Hearth 1 through 3, basically.
Yeah.
In the middle of summer of 2022, I've already been viral for 2 years. I had accounts taken down at 60K, and then I went back up to 60K.
Are you making money at this point?
I'm making money as a security guard.
Okay, just security guard.
I'm getting $750 every 2 weeks. So
Okay.
when Zach hits me up and he's like, hey, I know who you are. I discovered you on TikTok. You're dope. I like your book. It's awesome. I have a website where I'm not sure what he did on his website. Apparently he had some book out the same time I was writing my book. Called Touching the Veil. So he's like, I also have a book on my website and I can't wait. And he's like, let's sell your book. So the point is he hit me up and said, I found your book you're giving your book away for free. But since he already had this book out that's making money, he's like, yo, your book can also make money on my site. He's like, look, I'm making money from my book. Do you want your book on here? Because we kind of talk about the same stuff. So what he did, this is what I want people to know. When he hit me up in July of 2022, he said, your free book that you have on your link is already for sale on my website, but it's for pre-order. People already ordered it, but I'm not going to accept any money. I'm not going to release them the book. He's like, the money already came in. I just got to press the button and give them what they pre-ordered. He's like, do you want half the sales? Of course I do, but I never gave him permission to sell it, but it was for free. So I was like, well, if people are going to, I was like, all right, sure. He's like, I'll offer you $1,000. He didn't say how much he'd offer, but the first payment was $1,000, and I've been getting $1,000 a week ever since. It only went up to $2,000 after a year working with him. I was getting $2,000 a week. But the point is, ever since 2020 of July, we worked together, supposed to be splitting every book sale of mine 50-50, but as I have the Cash Apps, the PayPals to prove that I've only been getting $1,000 until that point where I was only getting $2,000 for a couple months, probably several months. But I was always getting 1,000 a week. So 1,000 a week is better than 750 every 2 weeks. So I never said, show me the sales.
Yeah, that's a huge life change right there.
So I was buying tourist fields, and I was buying.
Did you quit your job at some point?
At some point I did. Heck yeah. Because I was like, I'm gonna do this full time now. Heck yeah, that's a lot of money. So I didn't actually quit my job. I was a security guard that I didn't have like a time log. If I wanted to make extra money, I'll say, hey, Emilio, can I go work? Can you put me at the gas station this weekend? That was my supervisor. It's like, yeah, we can use you. And if I didn't want to, he'd get other guards. So I can just stay at home and just all I had to do was renew my guard card if I ever wanted to work with him. So it's just like whenever I want.
I was a security guard for a couple of years.
Yeah.
You know what's crazy? I used to guard a library in Oceanside, and at that time I was getting deep into my studies. And same thing, I'd bring a book. I guess the dude like my Santos Bonacci was Zechariah Sitchin.
Okay, the Anunnaki story.
Yeah. So that was like the dude that really woke me up. And so I'd bring his books to work, and the library was always quiet at night. And I'd just sit there and I'd just be reading. So like I used that time as well to like
the thing
learn.
about Zechariah Sitchin is he did a wonderful job translating those tablets that he did.
He didn't even translate them. Honestly, I have a lot of critiques about him now. When I was young, I was super like, what? This guy knows everything.
So, but my point was that he's telling you, he's like, this is what I discovered and this is what they're saying. But you can do that today. The English Bible is just a translation of the Hebrew, which is a translation of the Greek.
Yeah.
But
what he did was he took work that real Assyriologists had already done, like real Assyriologists from like the late 1800s, early 1900s, who actually uncovered the stuff from the ground and deciphered it. And he took their deciphers and translations and then pieced it together in a mythology that we didn't have. Like he really like pieced it all together in a way we had yet to understand. That was the genius of Zechariah Sitchin, I think, is he was able to look at this information and then piece it together,
digestible,
make it digestible, but also piece it together on a larger human picture. Like, oh, these aren't isolated stories. He realized,
it's a big story. Okay,
exactly.
That's dope.
Because most people view countries and history through like this narrow perspective, like, oh, this is the history of China, this is the history of Africa. But he's like, no, this is the history of the world.
Exactly. That's why I tell people Atlantis isn't an Atlantic Ocean. I said back then there used to just be one ocean. There wasn't 7 oceans, 7 continents. They say we had Pangea, one giant continent, which means we had one giant ocean. So Atlantis Ocean is not just here. The whole ocean was Atlantis Ocean. All 7 were just one. So I said the whole world is Atlantis, and that's it.
Yeah. All right. So you got this book. You're viral. This guy, Zach, reaches out to you and says, hey, let's make money together. Let me sell your book on my site. And he offers you this money.
I was so happy with 1,000 a week. I never asked for the book sales. But as a business partner, he's much older than me. He's 9 years older than me.
Oh, wow.
And he says he's this professional business guy. But how come you never showed me the book sales?
Yeah.
And not until I exposed him for not paying me. He's like, no, I overpaid him. Look at the sales. But he only showed the sales of the Hearth book physical copy. When I first met him in July 2020, we were selling the PDF of my book for $30. The physical book is $60. Mm-hmm. So I want to know how many book sales did we sell of the PDF before we even published it in 2023.
So when did you start becoming suspicious? Like what happened that made you want to be like, all right, dude, like what's going on?
Okay, so March of 2024, this year, is when Zach messaged me.
Wait, March of this year?
Yes.
That was like a week ago.
Okay, my bad. We're in 2025. Okay,
yeah.
My bad. So we're So March 2024, because that's when it's just like me not having money. It's such a mess. All I know is I stopped getting paid basically a few months after March 2024, like before the summer.
Like a year ago.
Before the summer of 2024 is when he stopped paying me, and I've just been like searching for like I need donations.
Yeah. Did he give you a reason? Like were you like, hey, I didn't get this payment. What's going on?
So he said, hey, I'm going to stop. Do you mind if I stop paying you for the next couple months? And I said, huh? I said, okay. At first I wasn't cool with it, but what am I can't say, no, I'm not okay. But I would just have to say, okay, I guess you're not going to pay me for that. I do mind.
Did he say why? Was he like, I'm going through some shit?
Not yet. So
I can spend it all on strippers and cocaine?
So no, the real reason is later on he told me that he used his SS social security number instead of an EIN. And because he used his social, people got into his account and hacked him, and they took $60,000 out of his bank. So he was behind on money. But instead of him selling things or getting a cheaper house and stuff, he's just like, I'm low on $60,000 while he's living in a $3 million, paying rent for a $3 million house. That's what it says online. it's like, well, okay, if you got robbed 60K, that doesn't mean you get to rob me now. It means you got to fix that problem and get that 60K back, you know. But anyways, he said, no, just believe in me, stop getting paid for 2 months. I'm making a deal behind the scenes with my Shilajit, and we have $1 million deal coming in. So he's like, just, you know, be broke and starving for a couple months, and I'm gonna make millions, and I'll make it up to you. I'm like, okay, cool. So while you're doing that, I'm gonna, I guess I'll accept not getting paid by you, but let me go and sell my book somewhere else then, because I wrote all these books. You told me never to advertise. You told me never to make my own website. So I was basically dependent on you, and all of a sudden you say, I can't pay you no more, but you're still paying off. It's just like, I didn't know where the money was going for my book. He's just basically saying, I'm gonna keep your book money because I lost 60K of my own money. It was just nuts to me. So I'm like, that. Well, if I can't sell my book on your website, or if the book sales from my book are just staying in your pocket, I need to get my own book sales elsewhere. And he wasn't cool with that. He's like, I can't believe you would do that. I told you to wait. Yeah, how long? After the 2 months, he didn't get that million. So if I would have waited and not did anything, he would have said 3 months, 4 months. I would have just starved to death and died.
Wow.
That's what he wanted. So, so basically, and he always says it's not my fault he didn't invest in money. I told him, I said, he told me he paid $5,000 a week in ads on Facebook, and that's $20,000 a month, over $20,000. So I said, if you're spending $5,000 a week, you must be getting back more than $5,000 a week. You're probably getting $10,000 a week if you're spending $5,000 a week.
Yeah, at least.
So I said, how can the $1,000 a week that I get, I want to put the $1,000 into ads because I want to flip my $1,000, make it $2,000. If you're turning 5 into 10 a week, I want to turn my $1,000. It's like you put $1,000 in, the ads go viral, and you get more back, right? How can I do that, Zach? Oh, don't do it. Don't worry about it. It doesn't even work. But why are you doing that then? So he told me never to do ads, not to monetize my TikTok. I screenshotted the text, and I can't wait to show the judge or my lawyer or whatever, because this is my life work, and I have all the proof. I have no reason to lie. I literally did all the research. He tells me to depend on him and don't do things yourself. It's not going to work. We got to do this together. But then when all of a sudden things bad happen, I just get left out the window. So now I called him out and I said, not only is he not paying me, but when I came out, Rahu, the guy that makes the Tensor rings on Zach's website, also said, hey, he has a picture of the Tensor rings that I make, but when people order the Tensor, something else comes in the mail. So he's using my picture. He sold all the ones I made, but now since he's not paying me, I'm not giving him new supplies. So he's still using my name and my pictures, but he has someone else doing it. And eventually he's going to stop paying them and then use someone else.
Yeah.
So that's what Zach was doing. And
yeah, you mentioned earlier when we were in the car that
someone bought my book and he
people.
sent them his book. And they said, I didn't order your book. Zach tried to send his own book when he bought my book, which is nuts.
He's like, read this. They're like, nah, fuck this.
They're like, I don't want your book.
Yeah.
He's not, he.
So he's doing this to other people too. Other artists, other
And
creatives.
I know I can get in trouble for lying. That's why I'm not lying. I have a 9-year-old son that I need to pay my child support, because when I was in Hawaii, I don't have a reason to lie. I know I should have paid my own child support, and I wish I did, but I wish Zach didn't promise me that he would pay it for me, because he's supposed to be my brother. It was only $8,000 at the time. Now I owe over $20,000.
So he told you, hey, I'm going to wire this money into your child support.
He said, we'll take care of it. That's nothing. He just spent $10,000 on a Louis Vuitton bag the other week for his girlfriend. So he's like, $8,000, that's nothing. I just spent $10K on my girlfriend last week. He's like, don't worry about it. When I send you home, I'll give you a bonus and we'll take care of it. Sent me home, never got a bonus. I had to beg for I have to wake him up at 12 o'clock every Friday to get paid, because it's 9 a.m. in California, it's 12 in California, but it's barely 9 in Hawaii. So when I wake up, I'm expecting to get paid, but I'm like, oh, he's still asleep because he's in Hawaii. I have to wait till 12, and it just sucks. It's like, I work so hard and I have to beg for if I don't say anything, he won't send it. I'm like, what the heck? So that's when I got fishy. I'm like, why do I have to ask for my freaking check every Friday? And it's always $1,000. It's not even, he made me seem like, well, if you don't have any book sales, I'll keep you on a salary, so I'll take care of you. But I think that's his excuse, because I never seen the book sales of him saying, yeah, you're not even making $1,000 a week, but I'm still giving you $1,000 because I got you. But he could have been making $100,000 each. I have no clue. And he admitted that he made $150,000 or $130,000, over $100K the first month he dropped Shilajit on his website.
Wow.
So if that happened with that, I'm like, dude, I have all these books that were dropping not even too long before that. How much did my book make? I probably made $10,000 the first month. All I get is $1,000. I'm like, it's just nuts to me. How
And he starts like slandering you online too.
Slandered me because I said, hey, this Zach wants me to not get paid. And so I decided, okay, I'm going to make my own website. And Zach was not cool with that. So he wants me to just sit here and starve, and he's okay with what? How can you live in a $3 million mansion and just be broke for a little bit? And to me, that's just nuts. So I don't want to talk negative about him, but he made himself my enemy. I love Zach, and I just want to make the book sales that he's getting every day belongs to me. So Zach is watching this, which I know he's going to be.
He said he overpaid me, but if he did that, it's because he's supposed to be my brother. So if he's like, I overpaid him, that was out of the love of your heart, Zach. So you don't say, oh, I'm going to stop paying you and stack up all your money until I get the money that I overpaid you. How much did you overpay me? And when is it going to end? Because it's been 8 months ago. You said that, and 8 months later, we should be even by now. So can I get my book back? Can I make my sales now? That just doesn't make sense to me. How someone is so, everyone says, oh, well, you should have managed your money better. I wouldn't trade the friends that I made like you over fake success that he has. Oh, he's in a mansion. Yeah, nobody likes him in Hawaii because he stopped paying Rahu, which lived in Hawaii, and because Zach stopped paying him when he got scammed for $60K for using a social security number, not his EIN, he should have got a cheaper house, but instead he wants us to be homeless while he keeps his house. So Rahu now lives in California, who makes the Tenza rings. So if you guys want Tenza rings, go to First House of Rahu on Instagram, and his wife. Dude. His wife is How You Doing? How You Duen? How you doing? That's his wife.
How you doing?
It's beautiful. They're awesome.
Yeah, we'll put that down below. But man, yeah, it's terrible, man. It's terrible, and I hate that you have to go through that.
And it's so easy to judge me because of all the tattoos. Like, oh, you just smoke weed and get tattoos, and it's like, yes, I do, but I'm not abusing weed. I'm using it because I broke my neck writing the books that Zach gets rich off of. And the tattoos are all the symbols on my book because I know that all the books that are physical, they're going to be burned one day, possibly. And there's a good reason behind that. Back then, they burned the Library of Alexandria. That's why, and it was paper. That's why we're supposed to have tablets and things made of stone because they can't burn that stuff. But they want to burn the books because they want everything digital. That's why they're getting rid of the paper money. The dollar bill's not going to mean anything soon. Everything's going to be digital and backed by Bitcoin or whatever. So I'm preserving the book on my body. When the paper burns, or these fires that happen so mysteriously, with the blue roofs on the houses and the smart meters and stuff like that. Basically, it's a spiritual warfare, and it's basically I'm preserving the truth right here. This is the truth will set you free. And Giordano Bruno got burned at the stake in the 1600s, thank you, Santos, in Rome, Italy. He was burned at the stake for talking about flat earth and geocentrism, which is the earth at the middle, and they cut his tongue out because they didn't want him to speak. So I said, you can cut my tongue out, not that I want him to. You can burn my book, you can cut out my tongue, but I'll still be showing these symbols, and people can, it'll be there forever. So I'm not just some gang member or some kid that lost his mind and got tatted. I'm actually one of the most hardcore truth seekers ever, because I put my face on there. Other people, Revival of Wisdom, congrats on your book, congrats on making 1 million followers. I just wish he would have told people that he was my student before he was a teacher. People don't even know where he got this information from, because on the back of his book he said credits to Divine Being, which is super anonymous. Nobody knows who that is. I'm Divine Being, being divine. I'm Julio Castro. So he didn't put my full name. So shout out to Divine Being is like saying shout out to Buddha, shout out to anybody.
Yeah.
You can't, when you type in Divine Being, I don't pop up. You have to type in my whole name. So I told Harry, can you change it? He's like, yeah. He's like, you didn't know that? It was like that for a whole year. I'm like, thanks. Why would you just, like, my name's Divine? So I think he thought he was shouting me out and thought that was enough, or he intentionally didn't put my full name, because if people find me, they're going to get the original. There's more details in my book. It's the original book that he was literally typing, and I have proof of that. Zach he made a TikTok video, and I downloaded it because I don't want him to erase it one day and say, oh, that never happened. What happened was, he said, Revival of Wisdom? He was working for me. He was my affiliate. He was writing my book, and he stole it and titled it with his name. But that's not true. Revival didn't steal Zach's book. Revival stole my book. Zach was claiming my book, and Revival was claiming Zach's book. But they were both just claiming my book. So Revival, instead of saying the Hearth book, typed version, typed by Revival, but made by Julio, he said typed by Revival, made by Revival. That book was what Zach was paying Revival to make my typed version. And why wouldn't Zach just pay me to type it? Hey, Julio, I'll pay you if you just, for a month, type your book so we can do it. I would have typed it. It would have been way better. And Zach even is the type of person to say, we're making an audio book of your book, but we're going to have someone else voice read it. Why not me? I don't have a speech impediment. I can read who better to read it than me? And I'm young, like my voice is, I can be loud, I can be quiet. And I'm going to release an audiobook for you guys with my book. So you can scan the QR code and go to the YouTube channel and it'll be me reading along or whatever, however we do it. But the point is, like, Zach, he just knew my potential, so he uses my book on his, it's pinned at the top of his Instagram, or it was pinned at the top of his YouTube. It's the first video you see when you go to Embodiment Celestial. It says, you're going to learn the truth and it will set you free, which is a quote from my book. You know, syncretism enables the God mind, which Santos taught me, which I put at a big quote. So my point is that I love Zach. I just want the rights to my book back, so to speak. He said, I have the publishing rights, but little does he know, I published my book first on Dropbox. And I see my wife like, don't say that because he's going to try to win you at court. The truth will prevail. The truth is the truth. I wrote that book. I deserve the rights to my book, not Zach. I was the first to publish it on Dropbox. It's similar to publishing on the newspaper. Yeah. I put it, it was for free. He downloaded it and put it for sale on his website. So boom, I published it on Dropbox. It's timestamped. I talked to a lawyer already. I just don't have the money to do it. He's working with other people. He's like, if once you have the money, we can work. But he's too busy getting money from his other people he's helping. I just don't have money up front. But I have a case. And my point is, I know I'm asking for donations, but it's not to buy more weed or get more tats. I'm going to get more weed and tats, but with the donation money, I'm going to get my own money to do that. I'm not using people's money for that. I'm using people's money to get my books published. I have 11 books with my wife that we want to get out. One is a children's book. One is a coloring book. And I want to read them out loud with her. You don't have to buy my books. I just want you guys to pay with your attention, because this is what we need to put lights on. That light is not being shed upon. Light is on in the music and the industry, you know. Be independent. There's the woman, empowering the woman to not have a man. And men in rappings are saying, you know, be single, have many girlfriends, and don't tie yourself down. It's just so dividing, and I'm just ready to create a harmonized world, and I'm ready to start a group called the Harmonizers.
Okay. Well, brother, you're one of a kind, dude. And truthfully, you know, and we don't get people like you very often.
And I want to say thank you, Zach, for reaching out to me and putting my book on your website. I wouldn't be where I am today. So I just see it as like it's humbling that these guys made careers off of what I started to do, and I want to do better of what, you know, they're inspirational. I want 1 million followers like Revival. I want a mansion in Hawaii like Zach. So I just can't wait to go up there and maybe we could work together. I don't hold, you know, hatred or grudges. I just want more people to be loving and accepting. And I think I could work with Zach in the future. He said some really slandering things that are not true. I have a 9-year-old son that I love, and I see him every other weekend. I left Fresno to come to San Diego, met you. I love it out here, bro. It's amazing. Yeah. It's funny because my parents don't like me smoking weed and drinking. They don't like me smoking weed, but they wouldn't have a problem if I drank alcohol and smoked cigarettes. And when you go to the Dog Beach, Ocean Beach, they're like, you can't smoke cigarettes or drink alcohol, but you can smoke weed. I'm like, why? Oh, because weed and alcohol it's litter. It's just, it smells bad, and for the children it's bad. Yeah. I'm like, so weed's not? I guess it's not. So my parents.
Welcome to San Diego.
I'm like, wow, only if my parents could see, like, yeah, like they have it flipped. They think they would have no problem if their son was in the backyard smoking cigarettes, drinking alcohol. But when I smoke weed, oh, that's bad. It's like, I just want to open minds, really, and I want to. It was toxic at my parents' house. They would rather me put toxins in my body and be okay with that. And I'm like, how can they love me? They just don't understand. I don't judge them. I love them. So it's stuff like that. That's why they say spirituality and knowledge is like knowledge of good and evil, because it comes with prices and like. But that's why I said we all suffer, but we're not like we're not meant to suffer by ourselves. We're meant to suffer with each other. So suffering always comes, but the reason it's bad is because we're suffering alone. It's good to be alone, but not in a suffering state. Be alone when you're taking your power back. Oh, I want to there's just positive ways to do things. Everything can be good or bad if you do it the wrong way. Yeah. So alone can be good, but it can be very bad.
Oh yeah. Dude, yeah. There's so much we could say.
Oh, we're gonna have a part 2.
Yeah,
All
yeah.
one, right?
Yes.
All one.
We're definitely gonna have to have a part 2. I mean, there's so much more to get into, man.
Yeah, you're only alone if you think you're alone, but you're never alone if you know that we're all one. There you go.
For real.
Thank you, Maga.
Dude, we're gonna just definitely put your book under. You have your own website now, right?
DivineBeingBeingDivine.com.
Yeah, yeah.
Heck yeah, man.
You have your own website now.
I gotta get used to saying that now.
Yeah.
Soon it'll be shorter. DBD or DBBDivine.com. I looked
Yeah.
up DBD. It's gone. I can't buy that website.
But yeah, man. I mean, your story is amazing, and your information is phenomenal, and I think your humbleness is rare. You know, and I think it's awesome that you just want to share this with the world, like wholesomely. You know, and it's terrible that you're being taken advantage of by these people who were supposed to be your brothers. And hey, maybe they will have a come to Jesus moment, and they'll realize that they're doing wrong before it's too late. You know, but you know what sucks for people like us who are on this path is, unfortunately, that is a part of the redemption path. I mean, if there's anything that Jesus showed us, is that you're going to be tested and slandered and literally beaten and thrown up on a cross by the world. But as long as you prevail for the truth, in the end, you will be rewarded. And so I commend you for your bravery and for everything you're doing for the world and for our people, man. Truthfully, before we end this, and I get back home to baby mama,
Yeah.
what would you like to say, man? And also finish off by telling people where they can find you and the best way they can support you.
Have a natural home birth.
Yes,
when the
we
baby
are.
comes.
We are.
Dope. And I want to say that let's all connect back with nature and connect back with each other, because it makes the world better. There's a saying Santos taught me. I quote him so many times. You're going to hear me. You guys who don't know me are going to get used to that. Santos is a huge inspiration. And he taught me that. He said, "Why carry rocks up the hill? It's a struggle. You don't have. It's just extra weight. Let the rocks go and go up the hill." So it's just that anger is an anchor. So it's not physical rocks. Why are you carrying anger with you? You're not meant to live throughout life with hardships. The purpose of life is to live throughout life with ease. So diseases are just dis-ease. So I learned that as well. It's just Dr. Sebi, before he was a healer, he was a mechanic, and he said if there's something wrong with the car, it just needs a new part. So he said if you have pneumonia, there's just mucus right there in that part of your body, in your lungs. If you have sinusitis, there's mucus in your sinuses. If you're blind, usually you have mucus behind your eyes. He said everything is mucus. There's nothing else. Because when you're a mechanic, everything is just a clog in the pipes somewhere, or something like that. So he's like, you're just got mucus in your pipes somewhere. So it's just, we have different names, but it's really just mucus is in this part of your body. Mucus got stuck in that part of your body. And so live throughout life with ease, and knowledge helps you live throughout life with ease. It's like going upstairs. When it's dark, you don't know what the first step or the last step is. You might fall, but when there's light, you can see. So knowledge is light, which is helpful. Lack of knowledge is lack of light, and it's confusing, and you fall, you stumble, you're scared because you don't know if you're going to fall or not, because you're guessing what the next step is. Santos said, lack of knowledge is like walking upstairs in the dark. And lack of knowledge is like a dirty, muddy water. There could be eels, and you're scared to step because you don't know what you're going to step on. But if the water's clear, you have nothing to worry about. So that light is that clarity that gives you lack of stress. It gives you lack of fear or anger or anxiety, because we're really just anxious of the future, of what's going to happen, and we're really depressed of the past. So in the now moment is the most. The now moment is how you win, because now spells one. I forgot who I learned that from. Did you ever say that, Maga?
Yes,
Okay.
of course.
We talk so much, but
We gotta have Maga say something. You want to say something?
Come say hi.
Just the microphone's right there, so it'll sound better with the microphone.
so it's just what I was saying basically is this. I can show you better than I can tell you. Maga will agree. The center of the chakra system is green, and that's the heart chakra. So loving is at the center, and light is at the center, because the rainbow, the sun is all colors, and it produces the red shift to blue shift. So there's always just red and blue, which is hot and cold, and that's why we have police, because it has to do with polarity. North Pole, South Pole. That's why you have politics, because it's polarity. So I know this is the closing, but I just want to say this is the now, this is the light, everything else is
illumination. Light is a principle. Illumination is the attribute. From the invisible light, you get redshift, blue shift. Thank you, Walter Russell. So it's all about now. It's all about love, and it's all about light. What do you want to say, baby?
We have already won. We're one. The universe, the one song. Om is where the heart is, as I always say. And of course, we're here in the amazing art of healing. And it, to me, is not a
Shout out to your friend
coincidence.
for letting us have the interview here.
Shout out to Nader. I interviewed him.
Nader and
Link
to
in
the
the
sound
bio.
healing.
His name's right here.
Yes.
Sound healing is what really helped me today.
Yes.
I needed that so badly. And my birthday was yesterday, and it's just like
Yes.
great timing. So we're celebrating together. We were just reunited after 2 years being apart. And
Wow.
yeah. So we have a lot of work. We have a lot of work to do, right?
Okay.
We're just getting started.
Mm-hmm.
The end is just the beginning. You know, your birthday is 1/1, which is Genesis.
Oh, so my birthday is her dad's birthday, and
No
both of our
way.
mother's name is Mary or Maria.
So trip off the 1/1. Like
Yeah.
in the beginning was the Word, and the Word creates all.
Trip off the
Culting
1-1.
ether, the breath, the spirit creates all. And we are aware that we've both been script writing for our work, and our scripts merged. And that's when I was like, am I writing this as a real life story? Are we going to do it for real? And it's like, I can't do anything.
Oh, so that's one of the things when we
anything
talk about
like this.
synchronicities, it just proves that life is like a dream. And so what I want to say is that I said it earlier. I said when you dream, it's just a piece of where you're going when you're not here anymore. Because all there is, the real world is the dream world, which is
Yeah.
heaven or the spiritual realm. It's the astral realm. And this physical one is the dream because we're only here temporarily. So we think we sleep and we dream it's just a small part and we're up the most part. But actually, you're asleep the most part when you're in heaven, and you're only awake when you're a human for the little part. So actually, this reality is the dream, and the dream is the
It's
reality.
a dream within a dream within a dream within a dream.
Sometimes this dream sucks.
It's a nightmare. Yeah, that's why it's up to you to make it a nightmare or a dream, and that's why I say there's always good trip, bad trip, nightmare, dream, heaven or hell. And when you're in heaven, you're outside. When you're in hell, you're in jail. So I say it's being locked up or being liberated. So it's the whole yin and
Epic,
yang.
man. Epic.
I think lastly on that, I'll say too that we both changed both of our lives for this. We lost friends and family over this. We fight on a daily, even between each other. We have so much passion, that core reason or corazon. You know, it's there's fire there, fire in your core, and I don't think I could do the same work. Like I told Divine when I met him, he said, without me, you won't write your book. And I was like, that might be true, but we're eternal. I'm not in a rush. You know, I'm an older generation. I'm like, I'm not in a rush, man. I'm slowing it down. But Divine Being, he has made it so I can just be, and I have someone to do that with. That makes sense because he said he was taking notes and it became a book. Well, my life work was originally a survival guide, kind of for people too. Like, hey, these are some tips and tricks you can avoid stepping on the stupid steps. You know, here you go.
Yeah, basically it's secondhand knowledge, her experience and her mistakes. We want other people to learn from those mistakes. It's called secondhand knowledge. So you can learn from your own mistakes or other people's. They'll tell you their story. That's why it's so important to listen to people.
And we get judged. You get the way you look, the way I may talk or seem, and my name symbolism, and people come at you. They want to put you in a box. They want to label you. They want to not like you. They end up liking us, loving us, or hating us, and that's okay. But I think the dynamic, you know, you have to embody being a real human being.
And not be so closed-minded or judgmental. So
and
people
that
want
is
to point at,
hard.
oh, you're tatted up. I'm like, yeah, and you're judgmental. What does my tats have to do with me being loving or a helper?
And I was sick and almost died. So people are like, oh, like I've been called by someone in particular a crackhead. And I said, well, that's interesting. My mom heard that. She goes, you've never tried crack, have you? I was like, no. But the fact is, when you're fighting for your life, I would rather be called that and identify with someone that is in that battle than someone who is just pretending to be perfect or whatever that is. And I would much rather identify with a real person with a real struggle. And that's why him and I, we don't look the same necessarily, but he's basically a representation also of what my name means, every single symbol, not just one.
Yeah, so it's
every single symbol on his body is a translation of my name symbolism.
It's kind of like he's what you look like inside, and
That's
you're
right.
what he looks like
That's
inside.
I'm just a
That's
sweet,
exactly
innocent,
how I feel.
sweet, innocent lady.
you know, and
Just
I know that
apply.
when we come together, people also, they're nervous and they're like, oh, you know, but I think it's because we actually could unify a lot of people with liberating. It's not that it unifies by binding or controlling or holding, you know, like Alan Watts said, the law of reverse effort. You want to grasp at sand and cup it, but it falls through the cracks of your hand. But if you would just open your hand, you could grasp so much more, you know?
And I got to do this for her. So life is a paradise, which is like heaven, or a pair of dice, which is a gamble. It could be good or bad. It's a pair of dice. It's a gamble, which is a game. And in this game, you're either a player or you're getting played. So you're either, you got to be a mage, which Maga always says is, a mage is like, it's a king, magistrate. But also in Ethiopia, the word for king is negus, which comes from Maga or Naga. Naga is snake, but negus is, it's like serpent king. Naga in India is serpent king.
Kundalini wisdom.
So you want to be a king, you want to be a Naga or a Maga or a magician. And
what do I always say?
or a mage.
Do you remember the saying?
So basically, mage is just a master of the game. This is a game, and you gotta turn it around, and it's mage because you're the master of this game. You're the main star, and people want. It's like saying you're innocent until proven guilty when society wants to treat you as guilty until proven innocent, or you're like a pawn until you prove that you're a player in this game.
My version is if you're not the mage of your own game, you're getting played. So you may as well play that hand in that game.
Yeah.
You know, if you're
Be the glitch in the matrix.
Yeah,
basically.
be the wild card and the untapped creative potential. Like don't always think just because
Buddha.
you have a bad hand, you can't win a game. Sometimes people make mistakes and sometimes you get ahead and you have to remember what's worth a play and what's, you know, pick your battles. And
Buddha's family was meat eaters, and he became the first vegan out of his family.
Yeah.
They were warriors and meat eaters, and he said, I don't even want the jewelry. He took out his gold, and it made his ears heavy. That's why he has those holes.
Yeah.
He took out his gold, and he said, I'm going to go fast in nature and be vegan and stop eating meat and being a warrior. So he was a black sheep.
That was his dice roll. And like, pair of dice with you. Everyone said it's the longest shot. We'll never, you know, and well, some people were really behind it, you know, thank God. But a lot of people said like, that's the longest shot. And I'm like, that's the one I want. The rarest flower. It's the, you know, most unique scent of sorts. And not everyone can hear its beauty or see its charm, but it's not for everyone. It's for you. It literally was written for me. It's all over him. Someone said to me once, oh, you mean that guy is like, that's like a walking coloring book? And I said, oh my God, that is so sweet. I literally am in love with a walking coloring book of my name and my life and my trauma that I've survived and my healing and the fact that he's really been hurt. And it mirrors, but it also is like harmonizing, like he said, where it doesn't just mirror, there's not just sympathetic resonance, it's not just a trauma bond. It's resilient, it binds, it magnifies, it blooms, and it's like a
we don't just have similar pasts, we have similar visions and goals for the future. That's what the main point is.
Sometimes
is that regardless?
we talk similarly. I don't know.
But I know you want to get back to your family.
Yeah, well, welcome to the Players Club.
We love you. Thank you.
Yeah, way more for you guys. I can't wait.
Thank you so much.
Yeah, and I'll have all the links down below. Please support them, support the brother Divine and getting his rights back, making money off this. I know he's humble, he doesn't want to make money, he just wants to give this out for free, but we deserve reward for our hard work in this life. Coming from a blue-collar man, you better give me my motherfucking money.
That's right. And one day we hope to have a nonprofit. We really want to do a lot of performance-based stuff, so people are going to end up joining in and having fun with us. It's not just us.
Yes.
We'll find you.
Yeah.
Love you.
Well, love y'all. You know what it is. Thank you for rocking with us. Peace.
Love y'all. So look, this is separation. This is unity when you bring the fingers together.
One.
Believe on that. Oneness.
Yo, we did it.
Thank you, brother.
We did it.
So much, man.
That was good. Thank you, brother.
I'm glad.